To be continued.
Okay, all right.
And so we're up. We're up. We're up.
All right, so we give it 10 minutes to,
And we're live.
and we are live. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to be finally here with all of you and to have these beautiful ladies on the meeting stream with us today. We are welcoming you to the inaugural Special Child Special Needs Parenting Summit. And before I go any further, I want to acknowledge the two ladies who are on the stream. We have my co-host, Elaine Wynn.
Hey.
Wave, Elaine, so the people
Oh, I'm
can
sure.
see. And we have a partner and a friend and an advocate for our children, Dr. Karen Dunkley. Can you wave, please, Dr. Dunkley? Right. And so we're getting ready to start. And I just take this opportunity to welcome everyone to the summit, as I have said before, and to thank you for choosing to be here with us this evening and to take this significant journey with us today and this evening. I am your host, Christine Stapley Banks. I am the parent of a child with disabilities and special needs. I'm an author, a parent advocate, and I wear many hats. But today I am sitting wearing two hats, that of a parent of a child with special needs and that of the advocate of helping to raise all our voices together so that we can be supported and to support each other as we journey along this very special way. So as we continue through the afternoon, I will be sharing some more about myself. I'll be sharing some more about the work that we're seeking to do, and I will be sharing some more about what to expect for this week. But I'm going to just take this opportunity to now bring in my co-host Elaine Wink to just add her voice of welcome.
Well, let me say what an outstanding opportunity this is to be a part of this process, Christine. It's been a long time in coming, and I am just absolutely over the moon excited to be a part of this for the next 4 evenings, right? Afternoon
Yeah,
to evenings.
yeah,
It's going to be an absolutely rewarding, exciting, and fulfilling engagement. And I'm just really looking forward and happy to be here.
oh, thank you so much. And I just say, I thank you so much, Elaine, for your willingness to not just support the process, but to support me, to coach me through, many of the tough times. And I hope that by the time we're done, our parents and others who are on the stream will come to understand how important having a support and having a resource like you in their corner is. But I also want to thank you for being one of the chief advisors in the design of this summit because I, as a friend of mine, and we're going to meet her a little bit later this week, Santa Green, she accuses me lovingly of building airplanes in the sky.
You do.
And so I believe that there are no limits when it comes to our children, and I jump off. And when I'm flying, then I look for others to help me. And I have to say, I want to thank you so much for that tremendous support that you've been over the years.
Mhm.
And in
You're
talking
so
about
welcome.
tremendous support, I want to now talk about a new friend and my best friend, Dr. Dunkley. Dr. Dunkley just brings such an energy to the space. She's such a committed, champion, and she champions not just the children as an educator. That we're going to hear a little bit more when she's, more formally introduced. But she also, when I'm sharing my stories, I can literally feel the tears in her eyes. She's listening and empathizing, and I can hear her brain spinning to say, okay, who can I connect her with or what can I do? Because to have moved to the United States 5 months ago and begin planning something like this, and to be able to execute it, I would not have been able to do any of this without the support of both of you, but without the support of Dr. Dunkley in connecting me to some resource people here in making sure that we're on the airways to talk about the event. And so I'm just going to ask Dr. Dunkley to just say a quick hi, quick welcome. She's going to speak a little bit later in the program. And so I just wanted her to add her voice. Y'all can hear what she sounds like.
Thank you so much to you. Good evening. And it's exciting to be here and to say to Elaine Wynn, good evening to you, Madam Elaine Wynn.
Hello, Professor Dunkley. What a pleasure it is.
Yeah. And so in the spirit of saying hello, I am so excited. We have 18 countries on the stream. And that doesn't include the streams that we're pushing through your group, Dr. Dunkley, and through others. And so I just want to shout out some countries. And if you don't hear yourself being acknowledged, then just put it in the chat, in the description below, so that we can acknowledge you. So we have participants from the United States, from Trinidad and Tobago, the Bahamas, from Nigeria, Dominica, Jamaica, Barbados, St. Kitts and Nevis, Belize, Guyana, Ghana, India, Ireland, Australia, Cairo, Egypt, Budapest, Hungary, British Virgin Islands, St. Vincent, Kenya, and Indonesia. Those are the countries that we have. People who have registered. And what that really does is to show that we are truly, and Elaine, you would really identify with this. You know, we say we're truly one people living one
Absolutely.
experience.
Right.
I just really want to thank everyone. I know that we are being streamed through the Caribbean Disability Leaders Group that themselves are streaming to 30 countries in the Caribbean. So there are some of them that I may have missed. And then we have some phenomenal, volunteers through the United Nations Online Volunteer Group who have lent their time and their energies to be the production team, the marketing team, the everything team, the social media team, the production team into this meeting. The beautiful work that we have, like with our handbook, we have a phenomenal volunteer, Joe. Joe is from, I think, Nigeria, who, I mean, I feel so sorry for him. When he sent the handbook, I had to say to him, you know, I'm not going to ask you to do anything right now. You need to take a break and wipe the sweat from your brow. But he was so enthused. And so we just want to say thank you. And we have Kingsley, I tell him that's a Jamaican name, and the name of the boys in my household, my husband and two sons are middle names Kingsley. And Kingsley's in Nigeria. Kingsley's wife just delivered 2 days ago. And Kingsley still wanted to be on the stream, and I had to give him permission to be with his wife. And I said to him, you can actually just restream the event tomorrow. So he's going to be doing that in Nigeria. And so I want to just say a big, big, big thank you for everyone who are here today. So we have a very exciting program lineup, and I'm going to invite Elaine to just share a little bit more about how today will unfold.
Well, it's going to be a time for us to really take some time apart to look at the issues that are related to rebalancing ourselves and our family. We've all been through a really challenging period in 2020. And so I think this parenting summit is really very well timed, and the material, the content of it, the specialists who we will all have access to during the next 4 late afternoon into evenings it's really quite extraordinary. We really look forward this afternoon and evening into hearing a lot from our presenters. And we're going to be, of course, talking to Karen Holness, who will share with us the importance of reframing our personal image, revaluing your network and your net worth. because certainly COVID has brought a lot of more concentration into the differences in terms of income stream and what might actually be possible that we never thought possible before. So it's reorganizing and realigning our lives. We're very happy too to talk to a powerhouse of a chef from Jamaica, Chef Patrice Harris Henry. She is an executive chef for Mission Food Possible. And I'll be telling you a little bit more about her later on in the afternoon. Our experience room closes our time for this afternoon when we will be exploring self with art therapy. And so we have lots of experts lined up for you to ensure that the idea of how to rebalance yourself and your family during this extraordinary 2020 becomes a little bit more clearer about the possibilities that are open for you. So we really look forward to sharing with all our presenters.
Thank you so much for that. And on that note, I want to really acknowledge some organizations and all our speakers. I have to say upfront that all our speakers have given up their time, their talent to lend to this particular event free of cost, so that we could in turn provide it free of cost. But you know that there's no such thing as free. You know, it costs somebody something. And so we want to take a moment to thank the organizations that have, you know, come behind and lend a bit of support. I want to mention the Nathan Bank Foundation's long-standing partner, Supreme Ventures Foundation in Jamaica. I want to thank Full Circle Systems, Inc. They've been a technical support for NEF, a support for me as well for more than 10 years, done quite a bit of work in Jamaica. And I want to thank Dr. Dunkley and her team through the Jamaica Northeast Diaspora USA. And while some people on the stream might know what that is, some won't. So in this moment, I would just ask Elaine if you could be kind enough to now do a formal introduction of Dr. Dunkley so that she may bring her greetings.
Absolutely. You notice I have to put on my glasses to do that. Okay, so as I said in our introduction earlier, what is special about Dr. Karen Dunkley is that she is an advocate, but she's also a partner to the Nathan E. Banks Foundation and a strong resource person. And the relationship might be young, it might be new, but it is powerful and intense. And we're excited and happy to have her on board. Dr. Dunkley wears many hats, but in this moment, she is our valued partner and resource. She is an internationally recognized educator who has served in various high-level leadership positions in New York City and in Philadelphia. In 2016, Dr. Dunkley received the Principal's Leadership Award, recognizing her as one of the 7 best principals in Philadelphia. Dr. Dunkley is one of the most successful educators in the United States, one of the most internationally recognized Jamaican-born educators in the United States. And she is the recipient of the Tuskegee University Education Advocacy Award, the Omega Sci-Fi Education Achievement Award, Philadelphia OIC's Impact Award, and the Team Jamaica Bickle Community Educator Award. Her contributions to child development includes her address to a standing room-only crowd on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. at the Congressional Briefing on the Family Engagement in Education Act regarding the importance of family engagement in transforming urban schools and increasing student achievement. So in this moment, she is standing in her able capacity as the president of the Jamaica Northeast Diaspora USA and our vital partner for this summit. Karen, it's a pleasure. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Elaine Wint, a mentor and a giant And thank you to the Nathan Ebanks Foundation and to you, Miss Christine Stable Ebanks, for your vision, for your commitment, and for being an interrupter, which I think is the term that resonates with me the most when I think about you and the work that you continue to do and the legacy that you are not only building for yourself and for Nathan, but for all children with special needs. Today is really very important for us. It's very meaningful. On behalf of the entire Jamaica diaspora, Northeast United States, we want to say congratulations, and we are delighted to be your partner. The word diaspora simply means anyone who lives overseas, if they live outside of Jamaica. And the diaspora Northeast United States, we cover 14 states. We say from V to V, Vermont to Virginia. And our role is to collaborate, connect, and communicate. We call it the 3 C's, with Jamaicans here in the Northeast and Jamaicans at home around development issues, and certainly the needs of our special, I would say our special needs children and families absolutely are critical. Yesterday, Christine, you may or may not be aware, when you did your interview, Rasclem sent one of the viewers followed up. And it's something we know. And they said, growing up in Jamaica, they remember that when you had a child with disability, that child stayed in the back room. Sometimes we did not even know that persons had children with disabilities, because if they had 3 children, they would only say they had 2 children. And they felt so, it was so powerful, your interview and the work that you continue to do. As an educator, our standard, Elaine and Christine, is simple: that if we can provide equity and access for special needs children, then we know that we will be able to do so for all children. That is the standard. So knowing this and embracing the work that you continue to do, you will always have us as a partner. We use the words equity and access loosely. The goal is not simply equity and access. The goal is fairness and justice. And on that note, I want to congratulate the Nathan Ebanks Foundation. Let me applaud your partners, Full Circle Systems and Raising Special Needs Children. And to say to you that the work continues, the partnership continues, and if we do right by our special needs children, then we will do right for all children and for the world. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and we're not gonna wait.
Thank you so much. And for those who don't know Jamaica, we're not going anywhere in this translation. Elaine, how else could we say that?
That was just properly and correctly done.
Yeah.
We are remaining right here.
We're remaining right here. And so, as we say, we're not going anywhere. Thank you so much, Dr. Dunkley. And it's just been such a joy working with you. I don't know when you sleep, the energy that you have, I think you outlast the Energizer Bunny. And I just want to thank you for all of that. And on that note of thanks, I see our guest, one of our speakers today, Terrain Holness, wave, has welcome to the meeting, and Leslie Ann Belnavis Elliott. And I just really want to say to everybody, so today is Leslie are talking your business. Today is Leslie's first wedding anniversary.
Wow.
And she is off celebrating, but she chose to give the time. That's a commitment in the middle of her celebration on the north coast of Jamaica, where it is safe, right, Leslie? Beautifully, beautiful north coast. And but she has taken the time to be here with us to the level. We have worked well with Leslie over the years. I remember some years ago when one of our national agencies in Jamaica needed to move some children from one children's home that served children with special needs to another. And they brought in the Nathan Ebanks Foundation to support the children's psychological health in making the move. And of course, I turned to Leslie, and she did a phenomenal job with the children who had varying levels of disabilities, Many of them were nonverbal, verbal, all of them were understimulated. And it was such a successful move for those children and for the people who were receiving them. And so she's a long-standing partner. So in a moment, we're going to just do the introduction of the speakers as we get ready to move into our first segment. But I just want to take a pause to talk about some prizes. And I have to look for my paper. So a signature of the Nathan Ebanks Foundation is to give you nice stuff. So we give you in terms of the presentations, but we also, you know, I like gifts, you know, and it motivates me. Not that the information I receive doesn't motivate me, but when you're the parent of a child with a special needs in particular, you give so much that when I get a gift, you know, it shows me that somebody was thinking of me and I feel excited. So when we do our event, we really like to do that for our attendees. So there are several great gifts that we have lined up, and that includes a copy of my book, three of my books actually. These are the two that I have. So some wonderful people are going to walk with these, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I want to get to some other juicy bits. We're going to have, over the course of the 4 days, some lucky people are going to walk away with a free coaching session with me, a free coaching session with Elaine, a free coaching session with Terrain, a free coaching session with Chef. And when you see what she has prepared, I know that's going to be one that's you know, in demand. And of course, a free consultation session with Leslie Ann Belnavis, our art therapist. And so also as part of the giveaway for the day, each day 5 parents are selected to win a free ticket to come in to this meeting with us today. And so today I'm just going to welcome them into the meeting, and then we can introduce them. Could my production people bring in the other people in the waiting room, please? So the first person on the screen is Mrs. Beverly LeBlanc from Dominica. We have Charmaine Gale. I think Charmaine might be from where? Jamaica. And we have going to be joining us, we have Gia Ramsey. Gia is from the Bahamas. And we're going to have Sasha Hill from Jamaica, who is going to be joining us in the inner circles. I'm going to ask you ladies, just turn on your cameras, please. All right, so with that said, we are now going to move into the session, and our inner guests will get, those parents who want the golden ticket, they will get the opportunity to ask questions at the end of each session. The sessions are set up so that after it's a conversation. So after the main message is presented, then the people inside the Zoom meeting can ask meeting, but we also encourage people who are on the stream to send in your questions. The questions are for you as well. We have a team that will pass your information into us so that we can answer the questions that you have. And my commitment is whatever we don't get to answer inside the stream, we're certainly going to answer them afterwards. And so I'm going to ask Elaine now to just go into the introduction of the speakers. We're going to introduce all of the speakers because the sessions are going to flow from one to the next.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Host. So among our speakers today, Karain Holness, founder of Hair's K Beauty Salon and Sisters Jammin'. What a name. Karain Holness is a dynamic and innovative social and business entrepreneur and a community builder. She is a successful company owner and opinion leader in Greater New Haven, Connecticut. Born Corinne Smith in Manchester, Jamaica, she migrated to the United States in 1987. Within 8 years of the move, she founded and still manages Harris K Beauty Salon, and it is more than the traditional salon. Her clients see her working tirelessly to make the salon a safe haven for women of color, where they are nurtured and supported while receiving superb hair care services. She will be celebrating, well, she has celebrated 25 years earlier this year in January 2020, 25 years in business. Congratulations, Corinne. Her commitment to making sure that each client leaves Hair's K Salon feeling beautiful and rejuvenated inside and out extends through her establishing Sisters Jammin' in 2000, an annual retreat to an exotic local retreat that has provided women with the time and space to relax, reflect, and reconnect with themselves, with opportunities for support, personal growth, and development. She has taken her passion for self-care, health, and well-being to establish Hair's K Academy of Cosmetology, the first nonprofit school of cosmetology in Connecticut. We look forward to her presentation in a short while on reframing your personal image, revaluing your network, and your net worth. Our other presenter for today, Chef Patrice Harris Henry, Executive Chef of Mission Food Possible, is an educator and, of course, chef. She started teaching in 2007 and has been working on her craft as a chef since 2010. She's the founder and director of Treese's Pot Catering Services. She became the director of the Reggae Chefs Jamaica in April 2019, and also the executive chef of Mission Food Possible, a charity created to help eradicate hunger and food scarcity. She started the Jamaican College Food Nutrition and Health Culinary Arts Program in 2013 and has been a trained human employment and resource assessor since 2017. She is the holder of an educator degree in food service production and management, a master's degree in business management, and a certificate in assessor training. So we are certainly looking forward to her presentation. Some of us in Jamaica certainly know her for her presentations on both national television stations, CVM TV and Television Jamaica, where she showcases her talent in preparing food utilizing Jamaica's local provisions. She recently has taken up writing and has had her first publication in the New York Carib News. The article entitled, Making Food Fun Again, Say Yes to Yam. So we look forward to having Chef and her presentation later on this evening. Closing our evening will be Leslie Ann Belnavis Elliott, registered art therapist, Art Therapy Jamaica. She's a registered art therapist and photographer with a Master of Science degree in art therapy and a Bachelor of Science degree in studio art from Florida State University. Leslie Ann Belnavis Elliott is the director of Art Therapy Jamaica and has conducted creative arts-based clinical assessments and art therapy sessions with persons of various ages, abilities, presenting concerns, and socioeconomic backgrounds. She has provided support for persons dealing with grief, trauma, hyperactivity, and focus concerns, behavioral problems in school, abuse, substance abuse concerns, family dynamics, depression, emotional support for persons and families dealing with medical conditions, and as well physical disabilities. Her work experience includes schools for children with special needs and developmental disabilities, a correctional facility, community projects and centers, and many church groups, and as well her private practice. So We look forward to her presentation as the creator and designer of the sensory tactile wall, which was based at the STEP Center, the School for Children with Multiple Disabilities, in 2014. She has been the founder and president of the Caribbean Art Therapy Association, and she received the Distinguished Award for Outstanding Contribution to the Arts by the Jamaica Gleaners Flair magazine for International Women's Day. So we're certainly looking forward to Leslie Ann, her presentation closing our evening today. I think Christine has already thanked her for being here with us on her wedding anniversary. We're certainly happy to have her. We don't have any cake, but we're really happy to have her with us. So I hope that you've cleared your schedule for the next 4 days, Monday, November 30th, today, until Thursday, December 3, because we have a lot of great things in stores for you. Our many panels of esteemed presenters, persons with great resources, and as Christine has intimated a while ago, she has managed to get some exciting giveaways as well. So I now invite her to share some of the prizes and giveaways which we will have to make our afternoon and evenings even more exciting.
Okay, so thank you so much for that. So we just gave out the 5 golden tickets, so 4 in terms of the parents who are here. But I just wanted to just put a little dash right here to say for the session, the last main session for the day, which is Exploring Self-Care with Art Therapy presented by Leslie Ann Delnavis Elliott, that it is a participatory event. Art therapy is not something you listen to, something you do, right? Right, Leslie? And so you're going to need to have some drawing paper. You're going to need to have some markers, crayon, and pencil, because when we go through that, and I got my pencil, I got my book, I got my stuff ready right here so that I can participate in all of that. But as we go through, I had shared some of the stuff that we have in terms of the free coaching sessions that we're giving in terms of giving different copies of my books. And I just really want to encourage you right now to just reach out and let us know where you're from, which country you're from. We ran through a list of, I think, about 18 countries earlier that we know people were registered for. So we're inviting you to do that. We're inviting you that if you have not registered and you're on the stream, that you do so by going to the nefjamaica.org. And we have volunteers right now who are putting that information down in the description so that you may get your workbook. The workbook is a beautiful work of art. Because you know, when you go, sometimes you go to a training session and you write on pieces of paper, and then when you go home, it's disjointed and you can't remember who said what, and there was a great resource that you heard and you wanted to connect with them, but you can't connect them to where it was. Well, we've created a beautiful workbook for you, and you are getting all of this free of cost. And what I love with the workbook, it has some of the description of the prizes. There we go. And I love this part, and I was inspired by it. It's not my original idea, so I like to give credit where credit is due. But we have a section for notes. So print it out so that you can make the notes, because the work of parenting our children is a serious job, and we are the best advocates and the best people to raise our children. The other thing that we are going to need are support people. I talked earlier about the support that I have gotten, and we all need support generally to survive, but we need it even more, you know, when we are speaking with when we're raising our children. And so I'm going to invite you within here. We have a contact page, and I'm going to put this up a little later, that would allow you to, as you are hearing people speak, and you are being exposed to perhaps new ways and new ideas, that you make a note of who said what, so that you can follow up with it later. But we encourage you, you will not be able to get the handbook unless you register. So we invite you to register. And so with that said, we are now moving beautifully into our first presentation, which is going to be led by the masterful Elaine Wint. So as I shared on a professional level, on a personal level, who Elaine is, we're going to learn a little bit more about her on a professional level. Elaine is a giant, as you've heard Dr. Dunkley say, in Jamaica. I grew up seeing Elaine on TV. And so Elaine is such a staple when it comes to broadcasting and other areas in Jamaica. I remember just always admiring her brilliance and her poise and, you know, just the way she just was able to masterfully handle issues and open up and to present new perspectives. And then I met her in person where she provided a self-leadership workshop for the company I was working at. Elaine, that was about 10 years ago.
Wow.
And it forever changed my life. She has been a coach, an advisor, a self-leader coach. She has been an advisor to the Nathan Banks Foundation, an advisor to policy, an advisor to organizations, and she can tell you more about herself than me. So I welcome Elaine now to the stage where today she'll be speaking on the topic of
leading self, claiming your possibility.
Okay.
Yes.
Welcome, Elaine. Welcome. So you can clap wherever you are. We can go yay. You know, we can do various celebrations. And at the end of Elaine's presentation, we're gonna leave some time for question and answer. So we ask that as she's speaking, things that come up for you, that you send us an email at raisingspecialneeds@gmail.com, or you make a comment in the chat stream. For those who are in the meeting with us, you can circulate your questions via the chat. And by the time we get into that section, then you'll get an opportunity to ask. So over to you, Elaine.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Christine. I really appreciate being here. I really appreciate the opportunity to be making a contribution. Really appreciate I'm just so excited to have reconnected with Karen Dunkley. I'll tell you a little bit why in a short while, but I'm just over the moon. What is the greatest thing for me is we've talked a lot about making a difference. And what is spectacular about today for me is the global reference. When you spoke about the number of countries who are present and the fact that, you know, you have transitioned from Jamaica to the United States, but you have carried the South-North dialogue. And that for me is a very powerful achievement, because usually it's the North talking to the South. So this is really an exciting shift and a powerful opportunity that I think we need to make note of. So I think I've clicked something I shouldn't have clicked a while ago. 1 second. Yes, many years ago, I was involved with developing a program for young persons called Breakthrough. And the reason that that program started was because at the time, Jamaica was demonstrating a 40% of our teenagers between 16 to 19 had already had 1 or 2 children. And so the idea was how to design a program for teenagers that would help them to understand the importance of self-leadership. It was called at the time Breakthrough. And Karen Dunkley, I remember her very clearly in that program, coming to the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation in her Woolmer's High School uniform, because we had a lot of 30 representatives from various high comprehensive, a range of schools with students between 12 and 19. So it was a very powerful experience. And that shifted over time into a presentation for persons in the life insurance industry who at a time of total quality management were looking at how not only to design successful systems and processes, but how to make the personal quality match the performance that was required. So to create a synchronicity between those ideas. And so personal quality management and personal quality performance became something that I was focused on. And that over time took us into this content, which I am looking forward to sharing with you today, about leading self-leadership and claiming your possibility. One of the things about our lives is that we learn a lot of things, as you realize, that are not necessarily always helpful to the matter of life. And the one thing that goes through your entire life is you. You know, you are the one in control. But a lot of times we're not really clear that we are in control and that we really need to demonstrate our capacity to claim our possibility. So that's what I want to talk to you about at this point today. If I can get my buttons clear. So you might see this question sign, and the question sign is asking us, how are you doing in this period? So much has happened with COVID. So much has happened with people's lives shifting, employment shifting, no employment or different, finding new ways to make things work. And for many persons, there are issues of, feeling displaced, feeling not connected, feeling left out, feeling fearful, feeling doubtful, feeling anxious. And maybe not. Maybe you are one of the lucky ones who feels clear and hopeful and feels powerful, and that you can choose and that you are able to manage very well. What is it like for you as you think about your opportunity and your capacity at this time? How is that working for you? So the thing that I wanted to share with you was this issue for me, which is very powerful, which is the matter of the issue of your life as a project. So many times we are concerned about all of the things that we have to do, all of the places that we have to be, all of the places that we have to support. And I wanted to give you a representation of what that looks like, all the balls that you have up in the air, the family, the school, the job. For some of us, it's a career, it's a profession, or we own our own business. For some of us, we have a lot of work doing in our communities. And for some of us, yes, I see a thing there marked fun and social life, but a lot of persons are missing out on that, not just because of COVID, but because in organizing your life, maybe this is an area that you have not as well equipped yourself to maximize. So my support for you in our conversation this evening is to look at these and to identify where it is that you think you need most support in your life. Where is the area that you think maybe you're not achieving the results that you would like to have? Where is the area that you have most opportunity for? And where is the area that most aligns with your passion and your desire to create the powerful life that you would want to have? So in looking at all of these various different, but yet still a whole life, the important thing for us to get, which I think many of us miss, is that our own life is always the most important project. Sometimes you get lost. You're doing something for church, you're doing something for school, you're doing something for your family. I think females tend to do that a lot. I may be wrong, but in my experience of my own community, I sometimes feel like men don't get as lost as much in the things to do. I might be entirely wrong, but maybe it's the women that I have been accustomed to associating with. So coming to this place where you can understand that your life is in fact a project, and you have to get into the capacity or the possibility or the opportunity of managing and leading in that life. How do you manage all the disparate aspects and at the same time achieve the happiness, the joy, and all possibility that you would like to have? So here goes. I wonder if you have ever thought about yourself in all of these aspects, that you in fact are the owner of your life. Well, that's very clear. I mean, everybody sees that, but do you think like that? And with the owner, does it mean that you have rights and responsibilities? You have a title to that life, you have a right to that life, but it comes with responsibilities. And as the owner, you also have governance. You know, we think of governance, we think of government. How are you governing your life in terms of the principles, in terms of the statutes? Because as a citizen, you have to live a life that relates to your community. You have to live a life that relates to your business and career, your family, your social and other commitments. So governance comes into it. Leadership comes into it. How do you manage? And how do you put the rituals and the steps that allow you to have access to your own full power? This is a really very serious question for most of us, because most of us live our lives, but we don't live it from our thrones. We don't live it from a place of accessing power and taking responsibility and being accountable for governing that life, for leading that life, and for managing that life. So the question that we ask is, who is stopping me? And I am wondering, you know, how you're answering that, because I think for most of us, the answer is me. So most of the times when we think about the life, we see what's missing. We understand where we possibly may not be accessing the opportunities, building into the capacities that we have, downloading the opportunities. We've not been affirming and making the declarations for the quality of life that we really want. And so in that regard, sometimes we are not experiencing what it is that we say we want to have. And why? Here is one of the possibilities, because, you know, self-leader really comes from a place of my own life and my own experiences working with hundreds of thousands of persons across the island. And I would say that when you really answer that question, who is stopping me? For the most part, it always comes back to me, myself, and I. That I tend to be the one who I am my own first opposition. I may also be my best access. I may be my best possibility. I may be that which is a gift to myself and to the world. But unless I unwrap that gift, unless I come into a space of perceiving myself in the context of the greatness that I am, that great creator design, then the leadership of the self does not occur, and we are not able to deliver or to download that absolutely fabulous package that we are carrying. So for many of us, we live our lives, you know, we live, but we are for the most part unopened. So we ask ourselves, am I on purpose? Have I been able to align with that purpose? Have I been able to discern what that purpose is for my life? Some people come born seeming to know who they are, what they are carrying, what they need to do, where they need to go. But some people take some time to make the discovery and to unwrap themselves. But getting into alignment with a sense of purpose is a very, very important and necessary opportunity that we want to seize. Do I have a vision for my life? Am I walking in that vision? Am I carrying that vision? Am I living from that vision? Am I enlarging that vision? Am I downloading that vision? Is it something that I, on a daily basis, am seeking to? What is the activity that would help me to get closer? And so we ask, are we on mission? Because once you are clear about the vision, then what is it that I have to, what is my core deliverable? Who am I being at the core of my being? What are my actions and activities that represent, reflect, and bring that into manifestation for myself, my family, my community, my society, and the world? And so, how much am I on plan? Am I actually living planful? A lot of times we have the vision, we have the mission, but the plan gets lost because the plan really pulls it down into the issues of the day-to-day tasks, the rituals. What time you get up is a very important thing. Who you talk to the most and why, where you go and why. How do I ensure that my daily actions are carrying me in plan and not carrying me into distraction? And so one of the tools that we offer as part of our conversation about self-leadership, as we seek to increase our governance, our leadership, and our management, is the whole matter of inspiration. And as I delved into this issue of inspiration, what came up for me was that I didn't really realize how much this matter of breathing was an important part of our life experience. The breath of life, we talk about it, you know. And in the old English language, people would say that the word inspire actually meant to breathe, because you breathe in, you inspire. But we in this modern age, we think of inspire more in relation to inspiration. So how do you really communicate in a way that what you are saying or doing is of value or inspires others? But in our self-leader conversation, we speak to the matter of the importance of the breath as a source of inspiration and as a source of empowerment. You know, if you look in the dictionary, it actually tells you to fill with supreme influence or divine force. And so we want to be able, part of the management of the human vehicle or machine is the breath. And it's one of the most powerful tools for not just inspiration, but obviously for supporting life, but also when you really want to cleanse your mind, change your mind, refocus yourself, it's one of those tools that you want to be able to, on a daily basis, be using. And so we say to our persons who we work with that getting into breathing and understanding the importance of the breath as a most powerful management tool. So as you are sitting at home, or maybe you've stayed back at the office to join the session today, just if you sit with your back straight against the back of the chair, you put your left hand, all right, on your tummy. Make sure that both feet are on the floor. Your back is straight in the chair so that your spine is straight. And just take a very deep breath. Just breathe in powerfully. And just fill yourself with that breath completely. Now, if you took a deep breath, chances are that you found your shoulder was rising, right? So that's one of the things that we want to learn, how to make the breath come from the natural place of the diaphragm. If you notice a baby lying on the back in the crib, the baby is breathing and you see that stomach moving. That's where you want the breath to be. So I'd like you to just take a deep breath as we get ready for the rest of our presentations today. There is so much that we want to learn, we want to experience, we want to know. And that access to knowledge, that access to power comes from managing this beautiful equipment that we have. So we're just going to do a very deep breath or two as we pull in all of that powerful oxygen. Just feel yourself. Imagine the breath coming from your toe all the way up your shins, your calves, your back, through your spine to your crown of your head. Hold that breath and release it through the body gently and powerfully. In between, just breathe normally, but we're going to do another deep one. After 3, 1, 2, 3, breathing in again. Pull that breath all through the body, energizing all of the body, all of the organs, your blood streams, your veins, your capillaries, your muscles, all of the organs. Just imagine that breath doing the work. And as you breathe out, clearing, clarifying, purifying, energizing, and allowing you to stand tall, to stand in power, to stand in your truth, to stand in your ability to own, to govern, to lead, to manage, and to take the access to power that you have in being your self-leader. That's the possibility that we want to contribute to you and to ask you to look at your life and the areas where you think you might want to make a difference. The most powerful thing apart from the breath is, how am I thinking about myself? What is my mindset at this time? How am I feeling about myself? And as we come from the space of the open possibility that exists for us now, we are identifying and clarifying what's possible. We are building our capacity. We are renewing our hope. We are available to use this time to listen and to participate and to reflect and to choose. We want to be vulnerable and open, but we also want to be contributing. And we are hopeful, and maybe we are even joyful in this matter of life. It all comes back to, what are you choosing? And are you choosing to be self-leader in your own life? So that's it. What are you choosing?
Wow, Elaine, I mean, it doesn't matter how many times I've sat in a session with you, there is so much power. And I'm going to give, we have a few minutes for questions. I'm going to give some of our audience here an opportunity to ask their question, but I just wanted to share some things that are coming from the live stream.
Yes.
So Faithlyn Miles says, Elaine's voice is perfect for this. It is speaking to my soul.
Oh my God.
She says that she's sorry she can't participate more because she has a son who has autism and he's always on the move, and so she's behind him, but you have spoken to her soul. We also have a dad from the United Kingdom who says, I am 32 years old and I have a child with autism. So he wants to know what are the tips that we will give? And so one of the first tips that you just received is claiming back your possibilities, because we have been lost behind the disability. We have been lost behind the frustration that as parents, and sometimes the professionals who are supporting the children, we feel that we have no power. And that's what the self-leadership is about you recognizing that you always have choice, you always have power, and for you to be stepping into that.
I think what's important there, Christine, I think the opportunity for all of us is to really accept the life. In other words, there is no mistake, there's no error, you know? So, what is the opportunity that having a child? And I am not diminishing the challenge because God knows I understand. But there are opportunities available that perhaps you are not being fully present to or present with. And that's the opportunity. I think my phone is going off. Sorry about that. Yeah. So it's to really love the life you have, first and foremost. Accept the life you have as the best life you have. It's the only life you have. It's the life you have now. And so it's the shifting from what's wrong, what's bad, what's not possible to what's great, what's possible, what's my opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm going to give you ladies an opportunity to ask a question, but I just have to say hi to a few people. I see my very good friend, Dr. Ganesh Chetty. He's a noted psychiatrist, adults and children in Jamaica, somebody who I pour into me a lot in support of the work that we're doing. He's on the stream. And of course, my husband, Robert, and Nathan says hi. So ladies, the floor is open. Any questions on this? Any comments? People are in the stream.
Yes.
Am I allowed to make a comment, Christine?
Sure, yes, yes.
Yeah, so I certainly, I just sat here really mesmerized and just have to say, and I put in the chat powerful content to Elaine. I think for me, Elaine, that regardless of who you are, whether you're a high performing individual or not, that your content, this session is especially meaningful because especially in light of the COVID-19 pandemic and everything that comes with that, I have had to recalibrate, stay centered, ensure that I'm managing my emotions, because with everything combined, and when you give and you have to give and give a lot, you also need to
replenish.
Yes, to replenish. That's a powerful word. And so thank you so much for that. And just your image and breathing and something you say, the time of day that you wake up is so key, because I find that the earlier that I wake up, and we know that people might be nocturnal or not, but I happen to have a more productive day. And I can manage my emotions better if I may be feeling a little bit depressed or overwhelmed. That an early morning rise for me allows me to breathe and to be more in tune and attuned to nature.
Yes.
So I want to thank you. And Christine, I know this is on YouTube, so hopefully we can go back and certainly keep rebroadcasting the session.
The beautiful part is that somebody will win a coaching session with her. And also there are opportunities for people to be able to book coaching sessions from her. Come next year, Elaine will be launching her self-leadership workshop training, an online program, because what she has provided is really a 2-3 day experience that absolutely refreshes, transforms, and just puts you in a totally different place than where you entered. So all of that is going to be available. So for people who have registered with us, they would now have access to the information when it becomes available. I also want to share, because one of the things for me as a parent of a child with special needs, and I have 4 children, and before I started doing the work of advocacy, I was in marketing. So I worked 18-hour days with 3 children at the time. And I have always found that even if I take off 20 minutes off of my morning sleep to rise before the family, to center myself, to get into my meditation and just to connect with the me before I get into my day, I have more capacity to go through the day. Because once the day gets moving, you are always moving. And so I still to this day have that practice of carving out that time to just be quiet. And it has been of a tremendous value to my mental health, as well as my capacity to manage the day. Anything else, ladies?
One last thing. I don't want to use the opportunity to say this publicly to Elaine, that Elaine changed my life and impacted not only my life, Christine, but the lives of many young people. He spoke about breakthrough, but I just want, for those who, I know we have viewership from all over the world. This is truly a global event. In Jamaica, all of the young people, the youth, Elaine has had an impact on. We are successful. Many of the paths that we chose, so much of what we internalized and were able now to amplify was because of the training, the support, and the competency building. And not just competencies, but the soft skills, empathy, compassion, listening, conflict resolution that Elaine Went gave to us. And it's important for me to share this, that I am standing on her shoulders, as are many other individuals across. So I just wanted to say that truly you talk about—
Thank you, Karen. Truly appreciate it.
and Elaine, in the diaspora, because now everything is virtual. I'm so glad that we can bring your talent globally, because
Oh, wow.
I'm looking forward to helping to promote and to certainly inspire others to engage with you around your coaching.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you.
As we wait on the question, so we have Old Dean, Providence. I'm not sure where that is. Somebody is watching from there. People who are telling us where they are. The U.S. Virgin Island. What is BVI? Somebody is from BVI.
British Virgin Island. British Virgin Islands.
Okay, thank you for that. So we have just different people on the stream. We have from UK, which I said earlier, and and so on. So we'll just kind of keep giving you an idea of where our viewers are from. But it is a powerful start, because I have learned as a parent and as a person that if I don't have capacity, I can't serve anybody. So when my children were younger, I would tell them I go to the gym so that I can be a better mother, because it allows me to take care of myself, to just kind of move into other stuff so I can. And then Nathan was born, and Nathan was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and all of that went through the window, because I went on a treadmill after that, trying to catch up with my life. I felt like, as I said in my book, Raising Nathan, Every Life Has a Story, I felt like somebody hijacked my life and then threw it back at me. And so I couldn't recognize the pieces, and I was running to catch up. And for me, it's having people like Elaine, who mentored me through a lot of that, and helped to remind me that I was so much more than just my son's disability, and that there was still this great. When I remember one day she asked me, "What did you used to do before disability?" Because that's all you talked about. It's as if a shield came down, and the rest of my life before Nissan disappeared, and all of a sudden I felt useless and worthless, and I felt, I felt like I had no control over my life, and I felt like, I remember one parent described it as being caught in a dark hole and looking up and can't find a light. Wow. That's what the diagnosis, not the child, the diagnosis of the disability does to a parent. And so when you're struggling through that, you need to be affirmed, and you need to be reminded how to affirm yourself. You need to take care of yourself, and somebody has to remind you. And so I remember, just sitting under Elaine's mango tree in Jamaica, and all that she just shared about envisioning. We sat down 8 years ago and envisioned this summit today. When she asked me, "So you're passionate about what's going on. What do you want to see from this?" And we sat under her mango tree and we created the possibility for something like this to occur. So what she has shared, it is not hairy-fairy, and it is not for some people and not others. Dr. Dunkley has spoken about how it has impacted her life those years ago and continue to influence the choices that she makes. It impacted my life then, and then it impacted my life in a different way. And currently, I do a coaching session with Elaine once a week. She coaches me, and it allows me to process what would have happened over the week. It allowed me, when you get a hit, like you're trying something and it's not working out and you feel disappointed and frustrated. And in Jamaica, we say can't bother. Like when you give up and you throw up your hands. And then she would say, but what's the opportunity? And sometimes I'm like, what opportunity? But just walking through with her, by the time I leave the call, I am seeing things that just explode before me that weren't possible. So that's what we're offering to our parents or professionals or families who are on the stream to get back into that practice of self-leadership and to be supported in being able to do that. And so as we move through the leadership, we move to another important area of this whole leading self. And for that, Elaine, I'm going to ask you, well, I'm going to personally introduce Terrain.
Yes, of course.
I'm going to draw her into the conversation for us to talk a little bit about who she is. So for people who are from Jamaica, you know that.
Where is she, by the way?
There she is.
Okay.
In Jamaica, we're very big on our high school. Very, very big on our high school. Fights will break out over the high school if somebody said something wrong about your high school. And so we're a product of Sanandra High School for girls. And we didn't know each other when we were at school, but we were in school together at the same time. And about 10 years ago, my husband said to me, did you know that there is a reunion group for your year batch that's on Facebook? That was before I said I was not going to be on Facebook. And so I joined Facebook to join up, and Terrain was the president, and she calls me. I was living in Jamaica, and she calls me. And it was at a time when the foundation work was fledging, and I was feeling frustrated, and I felt like I was knocking on doors and, don't have funding for the programs. I had these big visions and just no funding to bring them to life. I just wanted to support families and to do all of these great things that just wasn't present and available to us in the Caribbean. And she called me every day for about 2 weeks. I don't know how she afforded that bill because I'm living here now and I don't have an international plan. And she called me and she just listened. She just, so what's going on? And then she started connecting me to people. And that's where my journey with this phenomenal woman began. And we went through that phase together, and she just always has had my back. And I want to encourage us that as we look on our contact list, we need to make a list of people who truly got your back.
Absolutely.
And I remember there was a point when I worked on a project for a government agency that almost crushed me because of the burden of it, to the point where she understood what was happening and she invited me up to come and speak at an event. And I just spent the whole week in her salon. I had nothing left. And she just took care of me and she spoke to me and she connected to me. I remember she took me out to breakfast one morning and she asked me, what do you want to eat? But I was so mentally exhausted that was a tough question. And she looked at my face and she's like, you know what? I got you, girl. It's always what she says. And she presented before me. And that week, she nursed my soul, which was what I needed. And Terrain, I will be eternally grateful, to the point where I traveled and there was a snowstorm. And it was the first time ever I was getting into the cold. And when I got to her house where I stayed, she had winter clothes. As a matter of fact, when I came out of JFK in my Jamaican warm clothes, that would have given me pneumonia and killed me on the spot. She just shoved me back in and dressed me. I just stood there and she just dressed me right there in JFK, buttoned me up and telling me this is how, and that's what I needed. And so when we were thinking about wanting to talk about the image, because with COVID and a lot of parents are home and the children are not at school as much anymore, and we're feeling broken down and we don't have time to go to the hairdresser. There's no hairdresser, no salon. And so, we're feeling that loss. That impacts our ability to perform as parents. And so I called her and I said to her, hey, I just really want for you to come and just have a conversation about some of the things that you've done with me that we can share as a tool for other parents on the topic of reframing your personal image, revaluing your network and your net worth. So you can read Kareem's full bio in the workbook. If you have not registered, you need to register so that you can have access to the resource people who are here. But I now invite Kareem into the conversation. Welcome, Madame Kareem Smith Holdness. Turn on your mic, please, Madame.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for the introduction. Hi, everyone.
So Kareem knows some people she's meeting for the first time. So Kareem, walk us through what brought you to this place of what you're doing and how you do. Elaine had earlier read a little bit of your bio, and there's a more fulsome bio. And by the way, guys, all the bios in here are the short bios. Okay? There's so much more. How did you get to this place of doing the work that you do? Being I don't call you a hairdresser because that's not what you do. Your salon is a place of healing. How did you get to that place?
Great question. I think growing up in Jamaica kind of prepared me for this. I'm from a family of entrepreneurs. I have always been around amazing women. At a young age, like Karen, I've had women like Elaine in my life. I had a Delia Franklin, a Sadie McBean, and these women kind of like indirectly shaped me. St. Andrew High School also, as much as how we, tussled a lot, shaped me. So coming here, and I had to start over. I had to then depend on the things that I knew. Mm-hmm. The blessings of coming to New Haven at the time when I did was that my husband's family, entrepreneurs again, had owned a neighborhood bar. And, just like Cheers, everybody knows your name. Those women kind of, the African-American women in this community, because it wasn't a lot of Jamaicans at the time when I came to New Haven. Or if they were there, we didn't know, because, you had to assimilate, so the accent. The patois gone and, so on and so forth. And so the doors were open to me by these women. And they supported me and taught me and shared and, the culture, just to get around, all of that. So I've always been around that whole, I got you. I worked several places and I decided that there's absolutely no way I can work a 9 to 5. Absolutely no way. And I then decided to tap into either I'm going to be a hairdresser like Sadie, or I'm going to be a fashion designer like Delia. And I decided to go to beauty school. Now, going to beauty school was not a decision that was embraced by my family. It was like, the stigma about being a hairdresser. You can't function anywhere else, only people, all the negatives that goes into cosmetology. And so going into cosmetology, working for people, and started noticing how, sometimes customers were just numbers. And then a few years into being a cosmetologist, one of my clients was diagnosed with breast cancer. And she was a weekly client. And that knocked me for 6 because I then now needed to know how to care for her through the process, after the process, and all of those things. So it kind of like changed my mindset about how I looked at my clients. And then with looking at my clients, looking at the whole person, and then you start realizing like a lot of, and this is before all these groups that would take trips and all of those things. You start having these very in-depth conversations with women, and you start realizing like a lot of women just never did a lot of things. And, you know, like growing up in Jamaica, like weekend, Magana Beach, Magana Ochi, Magana, you know, like you just constantly on the move, and there was things to do, and you could go to session, and you can have brunch, and you can do all of these things. And you come here and you're realizing a lot of women would not do that, because it would be so selfish for them to have joy in their lives, right?
Wow.
Any little bit of joy. And so about 1999, my mom bought me a book called Sacred Pampering Principles for African American Women by Debrina Jackson Gandy. That whole book changed, again, another a pivot for my salon. Hair care, like we used to think that going to the hairdresser, go get our nails done, that was pampering. That has nothing to do with pampering. That's grooming. That's what we're supposed to do, right? Pampering is that, as what Elaine was talking about, that moment to breathe, to close your eyes, lock off the world, care for you, your spirit, whoever you pray to, all of these things. That's what the pampering was, your connection to the higher being. And so that started Sisters Jamming from in the salon. And so we started going to Jamaica because that's where I know. I was very comfortable with Jamaica. I knew what Jamaica did for me as a woman, because whenever I'm here and I felt totally depleted, I know I could go back home. It was just, you know, like I had to explain this to Christine. I don't think she had gotten it at the time. I said, Christine, when the plane is coming in, like I know exactly where the plane going to go, whether you're coming from Kingston, whether you're going to land in Kingston or Montego Bay. So whenever I'm going into Montego Bay, I try to sit on the right side of the plane so that I can see the coastline and the water and what that did for me. And so Jamaica to me was my USA, my spirit, you know, like I used to explain to people coming off the plane when the sun just beats you, and then the trade wind hug you and say, welcome home, girl, you know, and the food nourished me. And so I knew that it did that for me, and I wanted to do that for my clients. And so that's how Sisters Jamming started. And I continue doing that for my clients. Now, with COVID, we have to nurture a little different. This past Saturday, I actually had a client, first time coming back into the salon since March. And she expressed to me her anxiety and how she felt as if to say, you know, she was just done. And it affected her hair because now she has had shedding and all of those things. So as her support, because I hold that space for her, I was able to say, it's okay, you know, it's hair care. You know, we can get back to that, but we have to get you well again, and the hair will grow back. And we're not going to concentrate on the hair. We're just going to concentrate on you. And when she left the salon, she says to me, this was the first time she has been in a space that she has not had a panic attack. Mm. And I said, did you really expect to have a panic attack with me? Like, you know, no, I got you. And I think, yeah, so that's basically, in a nutshell, how I came.
That is a fantastic journey. And as I'm listening to you really actively, I'm hearing myself asking those who are on the stream and our audience and our participants and our viewers 2 questions. Where do you go when you feel depleted? Yeah. That's something to think about. And if it is not something you're doing or doing enough, then COVID is giving us the opportunity to reset what's important for us and what is necessary. Write it down in your book and to set some goals around it. The second question, who are the people who hold that space of support in your life? Sometimes they're there, but we're not present to the fact that they're there because there is an expectation we have that people should just know and should just help us, but that's not the truth. And so it is to really take a look at who can you call on when you need support? Who can you call on? You know, one of our viewers says she's running behind her son. Who can you call on who is safe, who could come and sit with him so you can get a moment? Those are important questions for us to ask, an important resource for us to identify and to be vulnerable enough to ask for those questions so that we can be supported. And so, Kay, I'm just going to now move you through the presentation. If our technical producer could change the slide, it's such a beautiful picture. So hair care management. When I had this conversation with you, I was thinking that you're going to tell us, oh, you can safe protect your hair this way, and you can, but it was such a powerful and real conversation about what this particular present provides for us. I remember when I called you earlier this year, and because I do a lot of media-facing activities, and a media personnel wanted me to do a video, and I'm like, no, I'm not going on the screen with my hair like this. And you reminded me of some of the practices we did before we started going to the salon. But you said to me that this is a wonderful time to give your hair and your skin a break.
Correct.
And I thought, wow, you know, that is so empowering. So I want you to just walk us through what we're talking about, the hair care management and the protective things that we can do right now to help to restore our hair, whether you're male, female, adult, or child.
Well, part of it is we have this expectation, like prior to COVID, you know, we lived in, we're living this Instagram filtered world, right? Where everything has to be perfect. And when COVID came and kind of like just knock us off our boots, and we just like, ooh, I had to then say to my customers, listen, we gonna be in the house. Leave it here alone. You know, if you have to go somewhere, there's a scarf, there's a hat, there's a ponytail, there's a comb back, there's a brush back. We just have to just rest, because this is a moment, because you rest, then you reset. You know, it's kind of like that wheel and come again kind of thing. And that's just basically it. It was not a lot of hard work. If you say, for instance, you shampooed your hair, you ain't going nowhere. So you shampoo here in the morning, you leave the conditioner all there. Very simple. Sleep in it overnight and then you wash out next morning. If you can roll a set your hair. So for all of those who came from Jamaica and knew how to roll a set, but all of a sudden don't remember, this is a great time to start. Practice, braid in your hair, just the simple things, just simple things. Let's get back to being, sometimes we just have to go back before we were this, you know, before technology and we were so busy, you know. So the scarf here, you know, have fun with the things that we have. There were some women in Jamaica. I grew up around a lot of Rastafarian women, and it used to be amazing me how they could use their t-shirts and wrap their hair amazingly, like beautiful. So practice something. Now that we have technology and we have YouTube, find out how you can use t-shirts, and the t-shirts, actually use t-shirts after they've been washed and stuff. It's really good for, you know, for your hair. It doesn't suck the moisture out as much.
Yeah.
And sleep with a satin cap or silk. And if your husband doesn't like you to wear, because this is an argument we have, if your husband doesn't like you to wear a scarf to bed, coordinate it with your your sleepwear, then it's the whole outfit. So we have to just, you know, have fun with it.
Pretty much like how we're coordinating the mask now. All the outfits come with a mask.
That's right.
So that's powerful. So one of the conversations we had about the network and the net worth. And by the way, that middle hairstyle, can you put up by that style, please? Yes, I tried that. Didn't work so well for me. It was going in my eye. It wasn't so neat.
Not everybody likes things in their face.
Oh no!
So we have to remember what it is that we like about our, you know. you know, there are quirks. Some people don't like things on their face. Some people don't like. I have a client, if her hair touches her neck, she ain't having it. Like, it touches her neck, she can't stand it because she feels like something is crawling on her. So everybody knows what they like and their likes and their dislikes.
Yes.
So
I had a parent who wrote to say her daughter is biracial, but her daughter has multiple sensory needs. And so getting the hair groomed is a 3-hour ordeal. So she used to send her out to the salon to get it done. But now that that's not an option, she felt that it was destroying the relationship with her child. And so she was actually contemplating whether she should cut the child's hair. And she shared it in a group, and she was very distraught that a lot of people didn't get it and didn't understand, and she felt condemned. And so when you talk about sensory needs, we do have that with children. And so it's to find ways to groom the hair in a way that, you know, you're able to just support them, get the hair off for them if you need to be. And most importantly, being able to do a hairstyle that lasts for a little while, so you don't have to be in the child's hair every day.
right, but sometimes we have to give parents the free rein to be parents. And if you have a child that cannot sit or a child that is extremely sensitive, it is okay to cut the child's hair. It's your child. I would rather see a parent cut, and I know that is controversial. I get it, because I have kids who have been adopted into, African American kids adopted into a Caucasian family, and I am one of the salons that supports, the agencies that does the adoptions and stuff, or foster care. And sometimes the mothers will come in and we'll teach them to do the hair. But sometimes it's overwhelming for both the caregiver and the child. And so you have to look at it and say, what is most important? Because the hair is going to grow back. Mm-hmm. And so you want your child to, and I mean, I'm not saying that you go drastically, cut the child hair, you went from long hair to short automatically, just gradually. Mm-hmm. And most times when kids' hair get tangled is because the ends are frayed anyway. And so it mats together. Detangling, learn how to use certain combs and certain things. I do not recommend rubber bands in children's hair. I don't recommend beads in children's hair. There is a health hazard to beads. They can fall, hit their head, and the bead can puncture. They can take the beads out, put it in their nose or ears. And so we have to be very mindful of those things. It is better we go back to the old-fashioned way of doing things, just plait the child's hair, if you can do that. Or if somebody doesn't feel comfortable cutting the child's hair, you can have fun doing their hair while they are doing something that they like to do. So if they like to take a shower, or they like to watch a certain TV show or something, we just got to find ways and make it. And it's, for any child that is especially sensitive and don't want anybody in their head.
Yeah. And so that leads us beautifully into the next question now of, we'll talk about your network, having a network. And I remember the first time you had that conversation with me, because then I would say, I'm not supported and nobody is helping me. I'm doing this alone. And I'm doing that in a family of a very attentive husband, very attentive. My older sister says to me, boy, your children are so protective of you. And I wasn't seeing the support, because what I thought I needed and what was available to me, I wasn't reconciling with that. And I remember when you had sat me down and had that conversation, and you said to me, there is net worth in your network. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit, because through your salon, that's what you do. You link your clients to other people. You talk about your clients who had breast cancer, and you've had other clients with health issues. You've organized this for them. You have, connected them, because you don't try to do all of it yourself. You've connected them. You've taught them how to reach out to other people for help. Talk to us a little bit about that. The network has network.
Well, a closed mouth gets fed. So
say that again?
I say closed mouth does not get fed. Mm-hmm. Right? And one of the things that I realized was, as a hairdresser, I stood behind a chair that so many other women came to. And these women were the doctors, the lawyers, the Indian, the chiefs, the cooks, everything. And so my responsibility was to find, because everybody in your life has a value, everybody. And so from within my salon, so let's say, for instance, I have a student that's in high school that is scared about going to college, not sure what to do. Then we find somebody who's in college, like a freshman and then a junior, and you get them speaking. So any questions that they may have. And so those are some of the things that I do. I try to make sure that my clients know that they can depend on the family that we have here at Hairskay to be a part of their village.
Yes.
We're a village, and we all have villages. And for me, sometimes I say I have so many different clusters of friends.
Yeah.
Because every cluster has a purpose. And no, it doesn't mean that because some people will hear this and say, oh, but you use people. No, we all have something to give.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so the graveyard to me is the richest place on earth, because people die with their ideas and thought, because no one wanted to hear them, and two, sometimes they just didn't want to share it. So while we are here, let's share.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect example of a network having net worth. We're here together collectively, and we're all learning and teaching. So it's an amazing thing. We just need to tap into it.
So Faithlyn Miles is asking, it would be good if she could address the need for combing and the ear of a child with autism. Parents, one of the things that I'm going to talk about when I do my session on Wednesday is the need to put the child before the disability. So we don't say autistic child, we say a child with autism. She says it's not easy for me as I have a son, and whenever he needs to get a haircut, it takes two persons who would understand to tend to these children. So
I can answer. So she has to then make a little effort to find a barbershop that doesn't have too much stimulation happening. So like here in New Haven, I know exactly where I would send someone. So overstimulation is going to stimulate a child that has, especially noise, You want a nice calming environment. So the person who is going to be dealing with the child is going to be calm. They can't be like, hey, come sit in the chair, and then all, the TV going, the music is going, people are speaking. You may spend a little bit more, but you want your child to be in a calming environment. So you do have some, and if the barber shop or the hairdresser, maybe you can ask for special hours, a special appointment, stuff like that. So we have to ask in order for us to get what we need.
Yeah. And I want to extend that conversation to say we also have to teach others how to treat our children.
Absolutely.
It is something that I have had to do. So it's a joy for me to see Nathan in a barber's chair. And it took us a little while to find a barber and to work with him to understand. He had sudden movement, he would jerk on you, he could get cut, and just how when you get in his hair, get in quickly and get out. And so as parents, we are the children's advocates, and we now have to find those resource people. And sometimes it's in another friend. If your child is in a school and there is another parent, another child, and the hair is always groomed, ask the parent.
Ask them what they're doing.
Sometimes,
and another thing too, Christine, is that especially for boys, when we have our, let's say 6 months, get clippers and just turn it on so they can hear the sound and get familiar with it. Because sometimes it's just that sound so close to their ears that is like scary. So if you get them accustomed to the sound, or you take them to a barbershop, if there's no quiet barbershop in your area, you take them to the barbershop constantly without getting a service so that they're accustomed to the environment. And then you may take them to sit in the chair. They may never get their hair cut. Then the next time they put a cape on them, they never get a haircut. The next time the barber touches their shoulder, because you build that relationship and that trust so that the child, because at the end of the day, the child has to be the one that gets what they want.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for that. So we have somebody who wrote, I am in the meeting as Orain Anderson. My son is Cadian Roden. Hi, Orain. Hi, Cadian. My name is, I can't pronounce that first name, Huggins. And I am a principal from the Something Learning Center. Thank you so much for sending in this message and for registering. So we're going to open up for another 2 minutes or so to find out if there is anybody on the meeting now who has a question for Corinne as she wraps up her presentation. And Corinne, Dr. Corinne says, pampering versus grooming, an aha moment.
Oh, is it Dr. Dunkley?
Dr. Dunkley.
Don't put a doctor my name there. Not
Hello,
yet.
why not?
No.
So do we have any questions for her? Elaine?
Actually, I'm so excited just listening to Corinne and all the what is interesting is the simple solutions. And sometimes it's the simple things that we really never think about. So what I like about what she's offering is the possibility for us to really recalibrate our lives by re-examining what's available that I have not yet claimed.
Wow, that's a question. Audience, what's available that I have not yet claimed? We want to hear what you have to say. Say that again, Elaine.
Yeah, just the simple things in life that sometimes we miss. And so what I am asking from listening to Corinne is, what are the simple things in my life that are available to me that I have not yet claimed?
Yeah.
Right?
Powerful.
Simple
Powerful.
possible.
Yes. And I remember, Corinne, you said to me when we did the pre-meeting last week, find your best feature. Because with this new look that I have, you said to me, I didn't realize you had so much Asian in your eyes.
Shiny eyes.
and then she had on a pair of earrings, and I was watching the earrings, and she said, so I'm coming on, and I'm uncomfortable in front of the camera. So I put in a nice pair of earrings. I find, something that, so it is really about us just being comfortable with ourselves. And what I loved with your talk is that it just gives us permission to be ourselves.
Right, because I think we need to be gentle with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We don't give ourselves enough permission to be not okay, to ask for help, to especially powerful women, it's like everybody sees you as being this powerhouse, but nobody checks in on you. I remember I had someone working for me, and she would always come to me with everything. And I said to her one day, so if you are coming to me with everything, you bring me all your things and you just drop it in my lap. What about me? Who do I go to? She says, I never look at you as if you need anything, because you always seem like you have it together. And I was like, girl, you gotta be kidding me. Because as a hairdresser, or anybody in whatever profession they're in, people drop things in your lap. And sometimes I had one of my clients teach me a long time ago, whatever you hear in the salon, leave it in the salon. Do not take it home with you. Because once you start carrying it with you, once you own it, it becomes yours. So sometimes we have to learn to leave people's baggage and crap here, So yes, so just be gentle with ourselves. We feel like today you can't get out of bed, lay down. It's okay. It's Sunday, don't cook dinner, and everybody will look at you like if you weren't there,
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
Sometimes we have to know when we as women or caregivers, and whether you're caring for a child with disability or just a child, it's overwhelming, especially in times like these. But now more than ever, as caregivers, we have to remember we have to take care of ourselves before we can take care of anybody else. And I can honestly, God, tell you guys that a very dear friend of mine, a client, friend, travel partner, she died October 7th. And it has not been the same for me, because this is it touched my core. And so I have learned to say, you know what? I don't want to do that. I don't want to hear this. I don't, because right now I am concentrating on me. I am a part of this conversation this evening because it is important to me. I've been a part of the Nathan A. Banks Foundation for a long time, and I believe in the work. All my clients know about it. Like, hey.
Actually, it's better than that. She beat up all her clients to donate.
I don't really beat them, but I understand that the work has to be, when you live in this country where you have access to grants and so on and so forth, and then you look into another country, not just Jamaica, but any one of the islands, it's not yet the in thing.
It's not as available.
It's not available, and everybody is going for the same money. Right now, here, everybody's going for the same money. And so sometimes we have to tap into our own, or our network. And so, yeah. But in the meantime, we still have to be very gentle with ourselves and take care of ourselves.
So we're going to move on to the next session, but I just wanted to share 2 comments. Charmaine says, I really appreciate these sessions. Seems you knew what the doctor ordered. And Beverly says, I'm loving this session. That is in relation to the session you're now doing. You're talking to me and you're helping me.
Wow.
Christine.
Awesome.
Christine.
Yes?
I'm sorry, I'm kind of...
You're going to have to hold it until later. We have to move into the next
Oh,
session.
okay, sorry. Oh, so is she going to come back? I was just enjoying this lady. Oh man, she was just talking to me when she talked about if you don't want to get up, just don't get up. I'm in that area right now. This was 2 very wonderful sessions, and I'm just getting re-energized and getting to redefine myself and put myself back together. So thank you, ladies. You're really helping us, sister.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. So we're going to come back at the end. We're going to have a few minutes of question and answer. So you can send in your questions, and again, whatever we don't get to in the session, we will respond to you. We will respond over the course of the week, and whatever we don't complete, then we will send to you. And so I just want to now introduce the next topic, managing your plate. So I have to tell you with this one, I've said, what's on your plate? And Elaine said, no, sir. That can be interpreted in too many ways, and people have a lot on their plate now. Let us be more intentional. That's her word. What is it that you want to do? And I said, well, for many of us in this COVID period, we are eating all of the wrong things. The fast food joints are closed. Our children don't want our food. We are stuck with the children, and stuck in the sense that when they're gone to school from 7 until 3, we get a little respite. So if they fight over dinner, we know they would have had lunch and they would have had breakfast. But now they're home with us 24/7. And how do you encourage them to eat? And so that introduced me to the next person, Chef Patrice Harris Henry, who was referred to me, somebody from here, only to discover that I knew her before but didn't know, because one of my sons was at the school that she's at. And so we had a wonderful conversation, and this session is going to be a little different. She's going to do a little cooking, but we had to do the video. So we're going to talk to her a little bit first to get some background, and then we're going to show her video, and then we're going to talk. Because the challenge that I gave her was to show us how to prepare a meal that is different from the way we normally give our children. So she wrote me and she says, what does your son like to eat? I said, not much. She said, what vegetables he likes to eat? I said, none really. So she says, this is challenging. And I said, that's why you're going to tell me what to do. And she has not disappointed with what she has provided. And I told her, when I finished watching the video, I said to her, as soon as the summit is ended, that's going to be my next meal. And I'm going to be calling you for some more recipe ideas. So welcome, Chef Patrice. How are you?
Hi. With me, I'm fine. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It has been an interesting summit so far,
Yes.
and I like Miss Elaine with statement that you're supposed to accept your mission. And with all of that, I had on my shirts. I don't know if you can say, mission food possible. I
Mission.
accept. Right? We're always accepting our mission, and this one was one of those that it is dear to my heart. My friend have a daughter she's a child with autism, and she is a bubble of joy. Each time I go around, she always say, she don't go to persons and stuff like that. But every time I go around, she always like, she called me Auntie P and, those kind of little things. And she said, why she come to you? And she said, I know why. You're always cooking and you're always giving her food or trying her with new things. So I know that's why she come to you. And I said, well, at least I can bring some joy and happiness to her life in her own little bubble, in her own little way. So being a part of this session was awesome. Yeah, I got to really accept this mission and just do great stuff with it. And it's really amazed whether you're cooking for a child with special need or just cooking for any child at all. They are so picky, they are so fussy, and I can attest to that. My son is the pickiest person I've ever met in my life. But it is totally amazing, what they can do and how they can inspire you to be better and push you out of your own comfort zone.
Yes.
So it's really a delight to be a part of.
Thank you. And I like that because one of the things I learned very early, and I say to people, I don't just have a child with special needs, I have 4 children. And so each of them came with their own challenges. And what I love about special education practices is that it applies to any child. And once you do the practices for children who don't have special needs, it really brings them out, draws them out in deeper ways. And so I love that. And, I want you to tell us a little bit about just how you got into Mission Food Possible. As we load your video, then I'm going to ask you to just walk us through what's the meal that you are preparing today and why you chose that meal.
All right, it is so, it came to me. I know kids love nuggets, regardless. They enjoy eating nuggets. And like when I prepare meals for my children, I allow them to say, what they like, what they don't like. And I try to incorporate the things that they like and don't like to ensure that they are getting the best of both worlds. So when you ask the question, and that's why I was asking you some question like, what your child like to eat, because I want you to prepare this dish at the end of it. I want you to have that experience. I want to fit your need into what I'm doing. So even though you are in charge of the summit, at least you don't feel left out like, well, my child can't eat that, so I'm not even going to try. But I found, so I say, I tried it on my niece. I like, okay, we're going to try this. And she's very picky. She like texture. She'll eat, like even with pasta, she eat the pasta, but she don't eat the beef that is in the lasagna, but she loves lasagna. And somebody will say, how you get her to eat that? I say, it's simple, just playing around with the things that she likes. So like when I'm cooking, you show them the box, or you allow them to touch, you allow them to be a part of it in their own unique way. So I just combine that with my creativity and say, what, I'm going to do nuggets and I'm going to add some vegetable to it. I won't allow the vegetables to be loud. It's going to be subtle. That, they'll see the color because they love colors, but they don't necessarily might taste the vegetables in it, but the vegetables would be very nutritious for them to eat.
And I have to jump in to say that was a challenge I gave her because Nathan, he's very sensitive to textures. He's very sensitive to consistency, to taste. So you change his food in any way, he picks that up and he spits it out. So I said to her, I need to increase his vegetable intake in a way that he won't suspect that it's in the meal. So I was deeply impressed with what she said.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can incorporate it in so many different ways. I remember when my son was younger, he didn't like callaloo. And, I remember growing up with my grandma. My grandma, she's like the influence behind everything that I do. she was an awesome cook. She was a farmer. So whatever she planted, that's what you're going to eat. Whether you like it or not, it's going in your plate, whether you know it's there or not. And I remember when we were younger, my brother didn't like vegetables. And I always noticed that she put like carrots and callaloo and so in the dumpling. And she will tell him that it's just color she add to it. And he will enjoy it until gradually she introduced carrot a different way. So I remember my son say he doesn't like callaloo. I said, don't worry yourself. I'll be cooking callaloo. So I put it in the dumpling and I give him, and he said, Mommy, why is this dumpling so colorful? I say, you love the green? Oh my gosh, I know you love colors. And that time he liked green. Everything should be green. So he got green dumplings and he was like, oh, Mommy, this is nice. You can do it again. I said, sure, definitely. I'm going to do it again. Till eventually he got the taste and acquired the taste of it and he introduced it to something else. So that's the beauty of feeding kids. You just have to introduce these different things in some unique ways in the things that they like. So if they like mac and cheese, you know, you might puree the callaloo, or you dice the callaloo finely and you add it to the mac and cheese. It is subtle, you know, it is there. It's just to give them an inch so they can acquire the taste. They don't want to give them too much at any given time because too much is going to, you know, allow them to pull back like, I don't want this. And then they're going to throw it away. So it's just how we introduce it and put it together that is going to make it a little easier.
Yeah, so thank you for that. So we're going to take a look at the video. Could you roll the video now, my able producer?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for attending this Special Child, Special Need Virtual Parenting Summit. Today, we'll be talking about managing your plate. My name is Patrice Harris Henry, the Executive Chef of Mission Food Possible, or MFP. We use our MFP scoring guide to identify food, crops, or produce that are most valuable to our community. Today, I'll be showing you how to prepare a dish that everyone at home can enjoy. The name of the dish is Chicken Nugget Surprise with a creamy pumpkin dip. In this dish, we are utilizing 4 of our MVPs: corn, carrot, pumpkin, and callaloo. I'm so excited, so enthused to show you how to prepare this dish. Looking forward to your comments at the end. Let's go. Okay, so let's begin. First, I want to introduce you to the ingredients that you'll be using. We need eggs, flour, milk, sweet peppers and onions, pumpkin, callaloo, carrot, corn, and chicken breast. Now, if you don't have a grinder at home, you can use a knife to shred your chicken breast, or you can buy chicken mince. I'll show you in a few minutes how to dice your chicken breast using a knife if you don't have a grinder at home or if you don't have access to purchasing chicken mince. Okay, so now we're going to just simple slice our chicken breast in strips. Slice it as finely as possible. Then we're going to join the strips together, and we're going to use our knife to cut finely dice the chicken breast. Remember, we want to get it as small as possible, so we bring it together using the knife, and then we run the knife through to ensure that we get it finely diced to allow it to mold together to form the nuggets. If there is any lumps or anything in it, it will be hard to mold. So we don't want any large chunks or pieces of chicken breast in it. Okay. So this is perfect. So now we're going to add it to our bowl. We're going to add our seasoning, where we have a blend of peppers, oregano, onions, dill, and parsley. Just sprinkle some over. You can use whatever seasoning you have at home to season it, but this is just my special blend that I've put together. Okay, so now we have our seasoned chicken breast, and we're going to add our cracked egg. 1 egg, We're going to add our sweet peppers and onions. I enjoy cooking with colors because one of the reasons cooking with colors is children love colors. I know there are different children that like different things, that like different textures, different tastes because of different sensory issues that they might be having. But the only thing we need to do is to dice it to a point that they'll surely enjoy. So we're going to add and combine all our ingredients. We're going to combine the ingredients in our bowl. And this is looking so delicious. The smell is awesome. And I hope you're enjoying the viewing so far. And hope you're looking forward to make this dish when we're through. In this bowl, we have a cup and about 2 cups of flour. We're not going to use all of it, but just in case you do, you can use any flour that you want. You can use arrowroot flour, you can use cassava, you can use breadfruit, you can use almond flour. It depending on the type of person that you are, especially if your child or your household is gluten-free, it's always best to use a flour that is from a starchy base or from peanuts. Almond, rice flour. Just ensure that you use no rice flour. Ensure you use something that is gluten-free. So no all-purpose flour, no rice flour. If you think that you need more flour, you just add a little more. The flour is going to use and the egg is going to use to bind your ingredients together to allow it to have a perfect hold. So as you fry or as you bake, it won't fall apart in the pan or in the oven. Until it stops sticking, you don't want it to stick. Now we're going to use a rolling pin. We're just going to roll the surface. If it's getting sticky, just add a little flour to it. If you don't have a rolling pin at home, don't worry yourself. You could always use your hands like this and you just flatten. If you have a rolling pin, you go ahead and you use your rolling pin and you roll it out about 1/4 inch thickness. Here I have some cookie cutters. I like making things that children would enjoy, things that children can identify. And that's one of the great things in cooking for children. So we have the cookie cutters, and we're just going to arrange the cookie cutters at different intervals. So first we start with a heart. We cut it out. The reason why we flour the cutter is that we don't want it to stick into the ingredient. So each time you use it, dip it in the flour and we cut again. One more. There you go. So we have 4 hearts. Now we're going to use our Christmas tree. Christmas is coming up, and I know kids all around the world enjoy Christmas. I do too. What about you? If you feel like it is sticking, you just add it, dip it, and you cut. All right, now I'm going to add a star because you're shining bright stars. Roll the dough. You roll, not a dough. You roll the mixture with the carrot, with the chicken mince and vegetable in a nice shape that you can manage. And there you go. And you go again. Adding milk to the egg will add flavor and will take away the egg taste. What we'll do, we'll mix it together like this. You can add a little salt or a little oregano or parsley to it if you wish, just to add more flavor to it. And then we have our breadcrumbs, about a cup and a half of breadcrumbs here. And this has parsley and some oregano in it to just add flavor. So we're going to bread our nuggets. First, we're going to dip it in the egg wash. And then we're going to dip it in the breadcrumbs. We're going to shake off the excess and we're going to put it on a tray. Now, you can decide how you're going to finish this. We can either bake them in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes. So you put it in 5 minutes on one side and 5 minutes on the other. Or until done, so you can go up until about 15 minutes. You don't want to overcook because it is only chicken breast. There is no bone or anything in it. So here we have our breaded nuggets ready for frying or baking. You can fry them if it's okay giving your child fried food. If you're not okay doing that, you can always bake them. Here we have some pumpkin that we are going to put to boil to make our pumpkin creamy dip. Now we're going to put this to fry and let's see. Alright, so now we have our nuggets in the pot frying and shallow frying. We want it to get a nice brown crusty outside and they're coming on just lovely. If you don't have a tongue to use at home, you can go ahead and use a fork and just flip it as simple as that. Okay, so now we're going to make our creamy pumpkin dip. We have the pumpkin that we put to boil, it's now crushed. I have some mayonnaise that we're going to combine it together. Now as you're combining, you notice that the mayo is changing to an orange color that is going to resemble looking like cheese. Very attractive, very colorful. So we cream it together. We want to ensure that we remove all lumps as possible. We're going to add some coconut cream. If you don't have access to coconut cream, you can simply use coconut powder or you can blend coconut milk, coconuts to make coconut cream, but you want to blend it very thick or mix it very thick. So the cream is going to add to it and thin out the consistency because you don't want it too thick. Depending on how your child enjoy his or her food, you can always add a little more coconut milk if you want it to be of a thinner consistency. So now we're going to add a little mixed seasoning to it, mixed blend, to just add a little flavor. But if your eater doesn't like a lot of rich flavor of food, you don't have to add it. So you would add and minus the things that you have or that you don't want based on. So here we have our finished dish, our pumpkin creamy dip and our chicken nugget surprise. Here we had some that we fried and some that we baked. Now we're going to garnish it by adding some tomato flowers to just enhance the color of the plate, make it more appealing, colorful and appealing to the eyes of those who are going to enjoy this dish. And there you have it, a lovely dish.
Wow.
Just love it. So Dr. Karen says, will the recipe work with diced fish? Somebody says, I'm hungry now.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that. And it's an interesting way because I never thought of blending anything like that. And if I had made a paste, I wouldn't have seasoned it. You would have had no taste. So now I understand why they don't eat when I create.
No, but you have to remember, you know, as much as they like taste in their own unique way. It's just for us to find the taste that they like.
Mhm.
And you asked me a question earlier, soon answer, like tell you more about MFP. But the question with the fish, yes, it can work with fish. You dice it the same way, preferably to ensure you use fish fillets, and ensure you remove all the bones because you don't want, sometimes you buy fish fillet and it still has bones in it. So
Yes.
ensure you remove all the bones so your child don't have to bite on a bone. And you
Yes.
just dice it and slice it the same way. To use it like in vegetable only, we'll have to be, that's something that we'll have to work on, and we could be able to talk about that off air. But it was definitely, I'm happy that you're hungry, and I really want you guys to try the recipe. It was child approved. Any dish that I do for children have to be approved by children, not by adults. But the funniest thing though, yes, because sometimes as adults we say things taste good, but not to children. So they have to be approved by kids. But when I did this, my brother was here and he was like itching, waiting for it to be finished. And I'm like, sometimes you're a big child, he said, but that's it. I'm the biggest child ever. Right? And the kids enjoy it. He enjoyed it and he was like, this is really good. And it was good to know that it was approved by children and it's something that the family can enjoy together. And what
they do it together, which is good. But I want to take a pause because we have some comments coming in.
Sure.
So we have somebody from the St. Kitts and Nevis says, Mrs. Shepy Banks, you're very positive. I look forward to learning new techniques and methods that could positively benefit my family. 2 children with autism. Nadia says, good evening. Thanks for taking time off to impart this knowledge. It is important to just continue to talk about children with special needs. Somebody else said, Peter Ivy. So Chef Patrice is part of a group called the Reggae Chef. Very interesting group of people. And Peter Ivy, who is also one of the master chefs there, he says, the work is inspirational. S. Roberts, I love it. I look pretty, thank you. Dr. Karen Dunkley, excellent session with powerful connection and speakers. And so it's just coming, people are asking for the recipe, we're trying to share it, but the link won't share. And so just to let you know that when you register, apart from getting the workbook, it allows us to also send you other materials that are shared through the different speakers. So somebody says, my son is 6, he has autism and he doesn't eat food. What would you suggest? That's Melanie from Jamaica. Oh, turn your mic back on, please.
Oh, sorry about that. He doesn't eat food?
Yes, I guess she's saying he doesn't like food.
Okay. It would be generally when kids, is how we introduce food to them. And introducing food to children really takes a lot of patience, a different kind of patience, that we have to introduce food just a little at a time from an early age. And what I've learned through my own niece is that they tend to taste or like the things that they see you, like when you're tasting something and you make up your face or you have a pullback, they read your reaction and understand what is going on. And in their little head, well, if auntie make that face or mommy make that face or that reaction, then I don't want to taste it. But it's just how we put it together. So you're introducing them to porridge. You show them the box. If it's something that they gravitate to, you make it the first time. You try it out to be smoothie. So even if you do an oats porridge, you blend the oats a little to make it smooth and creamy, because maybe it's the texture he doesn't like, but you still can give him an oats porridge, but it's how you do it. And the things that you incorporate with it. So instead of boiling it in water, you boil it in milk. So there you're adding more flavors and you add a little cinnamon and vanilla and you boil it together. and you don't allow it to become too thick. You don't allow it to become watery. Like some people with my son will say, "Mommy, that look like nose knot," and I'm like, no, but maybe it's how it looked to him, and you don't want it too thick so it become puddingy and hard to digest. So, but it's something that I love to work with you off air and to talk you through.
Well, as you say that,
and I hope that she could be one of the lucky winners that win the coaching session that I've offered.
What I was about to say, that I made a note. Melanie from Jamaica, you just won the coaching session with Chef Patrice Harris Henry.
Definitely. Definitely. And that would be a good one.
That would be a good one for her to work with, because I believe that this recipe that she did was because she was trying to show me how, for children like my son, and I think that this will work for him because he loves chicken.
Yeah.
And so and he loves nuggets. So it's a beautiful way to blend it in. So Melanie, we will be in touch with you. If we don't have your email, you need to send us, you need to register so we can have access to your information. But you are the proud winner of a coaching session with Chef Patrice Harris Henry. So,
and I'm happy, and I'm happy that you won, because trust me, working with a child with autism can be a very, I call it a very experiential one, that you have to go through an experience with them. It's not a one-way process. It's both you and them learning together. And if we don't have the patience, we get burden. But it's just with all kids. It's a process.
And it's also knowing as well, because what you shared, and which is why I shared the video to the extent, because I really wondered how you were going to do it in a way that I would get my son to eat it. And just watching you in the process, how everything folded out, blended out, and was well hidden. But based on the portions of vegetable that you put in, it would be adequate to ensure that he's getting because he doesn't get vegetables. So you've just, and with the dumpling, he loves dumplings. So you've just inspired me on so many levels in terms of what differently I can do. So we thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a segment at the end so that, we're able to answer all the questions. Gio says, my daughter loves to eat. This will be an excellent recipe for her to try. Thank you. Love it.
So you're welcome.
So Elaine, we're now moving into, can you believe the time has flown already? And so we are moving into this session. Elaine, do you want to set it up so we invite Miss Leslie-Ann Belnavis Elliott into the conversation? Turn on your mic, please, Elaine.
Thank you. Didn't even realize that had happened. Thank you, boy. That was just absolutely wonderfully simple, but had so many elements to it that you would not normally have considered. What a beautiful lady. Good evening, Madame. It's a pleasure to welcome you to our Parenting Summit. Yeah, so I'm trying to find my information. That's the problem. So this would be Leslie-Ann Belnavis Elliott, right? Pleasure meeting you. Pleasure meeting you. Registered art therapist. I think we did a long introduction to you earlier on. And so I don't need to do that again. Just to say, I am absolutely excited to see how you're going to include all of us in this process of using art therapy for our children, but for ourselves too. Over to you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Christine, is your production team gonna show the can't hear you.
Sorry, they're going to give you control of your presentation. So, because you have to lead the process. And just to remind everybody, this is where you need to have your art supply, your crayon, your pencil, your paper. So if you need to just, as she's setting up, take a minute to grab those so that we can be involved in the process.
Christine, I'm not able to share my screen.
Hold a second. Production, can you release her screen, please?
Great. There you go.
Oh, I guess it's being controlled by production, so it's fine. All right. So, hi everybody. Welcome again. Thanks for having me. Thank you to Nathan Ebanks Foundation and Raising Special Needs for having me present on exploring self-care with art therapy. I think someone mentioned earlier, I think it was Karine, who was talking about the importance of support, and Christine underscored that. And I think art therapy is a nice closing of today's session with talking about ways to support and really exploring self-care with art therapy. As you can see, my information is on the screen as well, so persons can follow. Okay, so we're gonna do a welcome and a check-in. So I want everybody, I know some persons have identified where they're from. You can, if you're just joining us, you can add that, as well as highlight the age of your child and where you're from. So the talking points for today is that we're gonna explore art therapy. We're going to address some self-care practices, but we're really looking at being creative, and you will be engaging in an art activity. So ensure that you have your paper, markers, crayons or pencil crayons to engage in the process. And you'll have your Q&A at the end of the activity today. And as Christine said earlier, I think if you have any questions, you can, I guess, put it in the chat or hold on till the end. So welcome. All right, so a little bit about me was stated earlier, but for those who may have missed it, my name is Azambel Lewis Elliott. I don't know why I missed off part of my name. I am an art therapist and a photographer. So always follow the passion of art. I was always a visual learner. So that's another thing. How do we learn? How do we respond to things? I followed the passion of art and discovered art therapy, and believe that coming from Jamaica, I am Jamaican, live and still live in Jamaica, but I studied in the States. I just always felt that, why don't we use what is innate in us to help heal us? And when I discovered art therapy, I was like, oh, art and psychology, this is a great mix. So I am the director of Art Therapy Jamaica. I am also a photographer, Azambel Lewis Photography. I have worked a lot, as you can see on the screen, I have worked a lot with persons, children with special needs. My passion clients are, or one of my passion clients are children with cerebral palsy. I have worked with persons on the spectrum, diagnosed with autism, currently in private practice, offering art therapy services to children and adults with a range of needs, as you can see on the slide. So the big question, and I'll put this out there, does anybody know what art therapy is? Or would want to take a guess? I don't know if Christine can consider.
I don't consider myself an expert on it, but as the questions come in, I will share them with you. So if you ask and you don't get to respond, by the time you get to Q&A, some people would have thought about it and send us some questions.
But I think we could cheat and just read what she has there, you know. Yeah, it's healing, strengthening self-confidence, creating freedom, satisfaction, life enhancing, help you to cope with stress, personal fulfillment, and self-expression. Yay!
The class,
right, Leslie, communication also is one of them.
We're gonna go to the next slide that has that actually has the detail. but thanks for that cheat, Elaine. So art therapy is really a mental health profession that marries both art and psychology to help persons of all ages dealing with various emotional, behavioral, developmental, and psychological concerns to express and process their emotions that may be very difficult for them to talk about. And they do this in a creative way. I will say this, that art therapy is not a new profession. It exists in the States, it exists in the UK, Canada, different countries. It is perhaps maybe a new mental health profession in Jamaica and the Caribbean, but we do have art therapists and expressive therapists based in the islands. We're building in the Caribbean, we're building there. So art therapy really uses art techniques like drawing, painting, sculpture, and photography as the type of art forms that are used. Now, you do have something called expressive therapies, which is the combination of music, dance, drama, movement, sound, play that can be used. And each of those modalities have their own profession as well. So my role is that I use visual arts. And with COVID happening, you have art therapists who have done sessions online, but because of COVID, that has like transformed. And just like the nature of the field, I have to be flexible with clients. I have had to be flexible with the process and transition to online, offering sessions online. The role of the art therapist is really to establish treatment plans and goals based on the needs of the client. So this would range from what is happening psychologically, is there a diagnosis, what is happening emotionally. So in talking about self-care, self-care falls under stress. You know, our stress can be related to self-care. How are you dealing with those things emotionally? Is there grief happening now? What are the stresses happening right now? 2020 has been a ball of stress. How are you coping? And then on top of that, being the parent of a child with special needs, and then you probably have other children too, how are you coping with all of that? So these are the other needs that are there. As mentioned before, we use art therapy activities. We assess clients. It's not like a Rorschach test. We don't ask clients to hold up a picture and then we tell them to tell us what they think is happening. That's not it. That's a psychological test. Art therapy is really about the process, and I'll explore that a little bit more further. So the duration of a session and duration of treatment will vary depending on the age, what's happening, how serious the matter is, if we need to work with a team of other professionals. Duration of sessions, if it's an individual or group, may vary from 1 hour to 2 hours. Clients will vary from children to adolescents to adults to the elderly. There's no restriction to where a client can be seen and how they can be seen. So I've done group sessions with families dealing with grief. I have done a group session with parents of children with special needs at a school in Jamaica, just trying to figure out coping strategies. And as mentioned before, the process is done both in person and online. And this slide just highlights some of the different conditions that art therapy has been used to support. So when it comes to art therapy, there is a trifold relationship between the client, the therapist, and the art. And the art is the most critical component of that relationship. Why? Because it's a nonverbal form of communication. And this is also why it's also impactful when using it with children with special needs based on how they communicate. Is your child nonverbal? Then the art and the art making is also a good vehicle for that expression. So it helps persons to communicate difficult topics creatively. The strength of art therapy is both the process. So the thing about art therapy is when I talk about the process, you're like, oh, what is she talking about? It is the making. I know I forgot her name. I think it was Patrice that mentioned how you know, introducing the steps, or I think it was Karine when she was talking about the listening. You know, when they're cutting the hair, it takes stages for them to get used to the sound. It's the same thing with the art making process. Each art material has different qualities, different textures. And so it causes different emotional responses, both positive and negative. And I'm trained to support individuals in terms of how to use art materials to either verbalize, to reflect on what's happening, or just even if it's sensory integration, how, you know, the manipulation, the touch, how are they even getting that understanding, or how does that help? The product is also another important piece. It's a coping tool, it's a tangible object the person can keep, they can use it. And hopefully today, the art activity, parents can use that as a reflective coping tool by the time we're done, or they can follow up with me. So what does self-care mean to you? And this is if persons can respond, just really taking the time out to stop and say, wait, what does taking care of myself really mean? What does that look like? Maybe you've never stopped and looked in the mirror to say, wait, am I too stressed out right now? You know, did I even give myself 5 minutes in the day? What does self-care mean? Do I need support? What does self-care look like to you? How are you being kind to yourself? We first have to stop and reflect and ask ourselves these things. I think 2020 has also caused us to maybe have to stop and reflect and say, how are we being kind to ourselves? Have we given ourselves that time to just say, okay, what's going on? Am I stressed? Do I need help? How can I manage it? How can I approach this differently? Do I need a break? And what activities are you doing to de-stress? What are you doing for yourself? Christine, I don't know if anybody has been responding, so I'm just gonna move.
They have been, but because we're running out of time, what I want to do is save that to the Q&A at the end. But some comments have been coming, including, are you giving them your slides?
Oh, not. Okay. So how much time do we have left, Christine? So I just know how much.
We have 20 minutes.
Okay, so we're gonna do maybe about 5 minutes or 10 minutes if we can for the art activity if possible.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready.
So talking about activities, we're here in the art therapy activity, and it's gonna take about 10 minutes. It's really about you highlighting or reflecting on the emotions that you feel being the parent of a child with special needs, or just how you're feeling now. You know, if you may be following, but you're not necessarily a parent of a child with special needs. But this is focused towards persons who are parents of children with special needs, as well as how can you take care of yourself and areas of support you need. So there are gonna be stages to this activity. The first step, as you can see on the slide, is that you will trace one of your hands on the paper. You can choose whichever hand you want to. Inside that hand, you will use colors, shapes, and or words to show 3 emotions that you're feeling being the parent of a child with special needs. And then outside the hand, you're going to show 3 ways you can take care of yourself, as well as, if you have time, 3 areas of support that you need. So if you need me to repeat that just one more time, because it's loaded. And I must say this, that typically the art activity would be 30 minutes and so, but we just, because of the time, we're making it very concise. So you're tracing your hand. Inside it, just think of 3 emotions that you're feeling. You can show that via colors, shapes, words. And then on the outside, think of 3 ways that you are going to take care of yourself and 3 areas of support you need. Can you go back? Yes, please. I'm just gonna play some music while that's happening.
Okay.
How are we doing? That's a very powerful song.
Very much so.
Powerful song. I'm just doing a check-in to see how we're doing with our activity. If we need a few more minutes, or if we can. Oh wow, Beverly has finished hers. Okay. Is there a way, Christine, that we can get pictures of the images people created?
They can hold them up and we could ask them.
Well,
I'm not sure if the stream will allow people to post, but they can try to post it on the stream. Or what they can actually do is they can post them on our Facebook page at Raising Special Needs.
Okay.
So that's a good place for them to, to go and post, and we can share them after. But before you got started, there are several people who had, made some comments when you had asked about what art therapy meant. So Nakita, Niv, she's one of our volunteers. She says art therapy is one of the tools that they use in India. And there were several persons who were sharing about art therapy that some of them are using in school, but there were several people on the stream who said it's the first I've heard of it, so this is very interesting.
Yeah, it's new for some.
Yeah.
New for some. And it's very powerful. I was also gonna say that it's not about looking at your artistic ability. So I was waiting to hear a person say, no, I can't draw. It's really not about that. It's really about your self-expression.
Wow.
And it's really a powerful process. It can be heavy too because it's therapy, but it's really about work. I think therapy is a mental gym. So, but that's what it's about today. And just to give participants an idea that sometimes we don't stop to look at, okay, what is the support that I need right now? As a parent, what do I need? So I'm gonna move to the next slide, Christine. I figure maybe most everybody's finished, and if there's anybody that just wants to share.
Yes,
what
please.
I've just sent Beverly sent her look at Elaine's diagram. Beverly sent her diagram to me, so I've asked our producer if he can put it up.
Okay.
So you can see she had her colors.
And I wanted to say, even if I don't have a child with special needs, but I work, that's my life. I work with children with special needs, and it's inspiring, it's fulfilling, it's happy, I enjoy. I mean, with COVID, we have not been able to meet with them physically, and I miss them dearly. And it's been really a joy amidst all the challenges. It's been a joy working with that population and inspiring my parents.
It is. There's something you get joy. It makes you younger. I used to look forward to going to working with the children at the home and school with special needs. It's different. The process is just different, and it's you learn about yourself. Yeah. You learn about yourself, and it is fulfilling. But Beverly, I would love to hear if you can share what you created, what was inside your hand, and what was on the
No, producer, put up the image, please. I sent the image to our producer. Can you put up the image of the hand I just sent? But you can go ahead, Beverly. Turn on your mic, please, Beth.
Okay, I have inspiring, fulfilled, happy. Drawing is not my best, but I try my best. I have a heart. Then I have a yellow smiling face. So this is how I feel working with children with special needs. And on the outside, what I can do to help myself. And the two speakers really had me cornered. They had me repenting. Elaine and the other lady talking about the hair. Exercise, I need to do that more. People keep asking me, what do you do? Exercise, you're so little bit, you don't have to lose weight, but exercise has nothing to do with losing weight. It has to do with being balanced. Yes, chef, I need to eat healthy and eat better. And, and I need to work on better sleeping patterns. These are some of the areas that I really need to work on I need to be good to myself. What kind of support I need? I need an accountability partner to be consistent in my healthy eating and my exercise routine. So that's the kind of support I need. An accountability partner, someone to keep reminding me, this is what you say you're going to do, and do it.
That is powerful. Thank you for sharing that, Beverly. And to talk about accountability partner, that is a form of support. Doesn't seem like we'll get to see it, Christine. So move ahead, unless you wanted to share, move ahead to the end to just wrap up.
Okay, before you wrap up. So Melanie from Jamaica says painting is an activity I introduced my son to. Her son has autism. He hated the feel at first, but now he paints for his own. So while I know it is not necessarily in the sense of how you just presented autism, my medical doctor has a son who has cerebral palsy, and she's an artist, a self-taught artist. So she decided to put the paint in his hands last summer, and it has given him a voice. He's nonverbal. So so my book that I released earlier this year, How to Co-Parenting a Child with Special Needs, we were thinking about the cover, and we wanted the cover to reflect all of the different emotions that families go through, the diagnosis and the journey. And in the moment, she sent me 3 of his artwork, and this is one of them that became the cover of the book. I was just so floored by just the beauty, and it's paint, oil paint to put in his hands. But he loves it, and she's able to get him to be calmer in terms of, calming himself. It is just providing, she gets him to sit and attend to the task, and he loves the different textures and the things on his hands and that kind of stuff. And it was just something that she tried. And the art teacher was just running an art class for children for the summer. And now she has introduced an element for children with special needs. So, definitely it is a great tool for families to be able to have access, and to let everybody know that either family or an individual will win a session from Leslie Ann before the week is out. Might not be today. Oh, there we go. We finally got it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Director.
Okay. Someone had, that's great to see. Thanks for sharing that. So it is a powerful process, and something to add to what you said, Christine. When it comes on to art therapy and the process, and working with children with special needs, again, each approach is modified for each child and what their ability is. I am about seeing what they can do first and how are they communicating with me. If it is that there is tactile resistance, we are going to take steps with how to engage with the materials first. Is it that we need to use the materials for relaxation? How I've worked with children who are very spastic, and rubbing clay and Play-Doh on their bodies, or engaging in flour and paint and stuff, and you see the tension release. Or a 14-year-old female who is telling me, processing the fact that family dynamics, I have two fathers, what does that mean? And you would think that's something that she wouldn't grasp or understand, but we use the process to communicate that. So that's just an example of the range of how art therapy can be used with children with special needs. So I will just move on to the next part, if I can move on. Okay. So just to reiterate some benefits of art therapy in terms of communication and social skills, it can be used to aid with sensory integration and motor skills, resolve conflicts and problems, also can be used to develop interpersonal skills with family and peers. These are some of the things, it's not all of the benefits of art therapy. We don't have the time. And if persons check my pages, they can see some videos about how art therapy has been used with different populations. Behavior and emotions, just developing coping skills, encouraging relaxation techniques and coping strategies, reducing stress, and ultimately it's all about self-expression and forming some form of personal achievement or insight if possible. So some self-care tips and reminders for our parents and participants, just to take time for rest. Give yourself some time for rest. Take a break in your schedule. Schedule your self-care time. And if you need to have accountability partners, as Beverly said, who can you call on to help you to check in? Say, did you take a break? I know with COVID, persons are scared about interacting, but a phone call or something can help. Eat well, exercise, practice saying yes to self. And I don't mean in a selfish way, just being selfish, you just don't want to do something, but stopping and saying, okay, can I take this on? I know in our culture, sometimes there's this thing to just I see people take on 5 different projects and I'm like, but you can't even manage one. Why are you saying yes to all of these? Be honest with yourself. Do something creative. Today you're engaged in art. Cook an interesting meal, read a book, watch something, but always take care of yourself and identify what your support strategies are. And a support strategy, next slide, is Art Therapy and Art Therapy Jamaica. I am offering online sessions for children and adults needing support during this time, and that's my information. So thank you.
Thank you. So GR says, I've taught art for some time and I'm always looking for interesting ways to help my kids understand the environment around her. I've always wanted to hear from an art therapist, been interested for years. Thank you for including me. Thanks for the reminder. And so thank you so much, Leslie Ann. You have shared some interesting tools and strategies, and it's interesting, though I've worked with you, I've never done the process. And I found that when I drew my hand and I thought about the support that I needed, I had to think. Because you're so used to being the strong woman, as Karen says, that you really don't kind of stop. And also, I have so much great support in my life. That I am wanting to be in that place of gratitude, but there really some help because physically, Nathan is getting his taller than me. To lift him, it hurts my back. So we're going to deal with a session tomorrow. Where do you turn when it hurts your heart, break your back, and keep you up at night? That's one of the sessions we're going to deal with tomorrow. But it's a powerful process, and I want to thank you so much. A lot of great comments, and a lot of people want your slides.
Oh, I'm not sure they can have the slide, but we can arrange for more workshops.
There you go. So a lot of them are asking for your contact details. So can you tell us again where they can find you?
There it was on the slide. I don't know if production could bring it back up, but I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Art Therapy JA. On Facebook is Art Therapy Jamaica. My website is arttherapyjamaica.com, or I can be emailed at info@arttherapyjamaica.com.
It's very easy with art therapy. You can. No, a lot of great comments have been coming. We can't get to all of them today, but one of the ones I need somebody to help me. This is a support I need for somebody to help me talk about my books because I don't remember them.
Well,
So there
Christine,
are several people. Yeah.
I remember, just to reiterate that I don't know how you're doing it, but 2 persons, either a child can get a free session, art therapy session, or a family of 3 to 4 persons can win a family session.
Right, and you're going to make people flood me now.
How can we win that? How can we win that?
So we will place that a little bit later. But how to co-parenting a child with special needs? I don't have this is a proof copy because as I buy my books, I give them away. So it's available on Amazon, and it really is written as a journey companion for parents and for professionals. It's a book I wish I had when Nathan was just diagnosed. It is not just my voice, it's the voice of other parents. It is the voice of the father, the voice of the siblings, as it pertains to disability. As one educator puts it, she says the first book she has ever seen that carries the other family's perspective. Because oftentimes when you think of support, you only think of support for the mother, but you're not thinking of what the father and the siblings are going through. And when my publisher, Bala Press, said to me, you need to, in reading the manuscript, to say it's not finished, you need to interview your husband and your children. I wept because even though we were sharing the journey together, I was hearing how disability landed on them for the first time. And this was this year. So when Nathan was born, we had 3 children, 8, 6, and 4. And so they were pretty young. And when Adrian shared as an 8-year-old that when I went into labor, she was so excited that the baby was here. And then daddy came home. So she got her siblings to tidy up the house so that we would come home to a neat house, put away their toys. And then daddy came home and said the baby was sick. And the baby didn't come home. She cried herself to sleep. And I wasn't there to support her. And so when she shared about the journey of him not being home and all she went through as an 8-year-old, when she shared about looking at him as she grows and him not having access to therapy and how thin his legs are, it really broke my heart. You know, when Jordan's memory of it is that when they went to the hospital to see him, her brother said he's not kissing any baby's foot bottom, but she kissed his foot bottom because, you know, he's her baby brother. And so it is important for us to understand the impact on the family. And I believe that this book breaks it down. We also have the voice of a speech therapist. We got several parents who wrote in to say their children are not talking, they don't have speech and they're frustrated. If you look in your workbook, you will see that come Wednesday that we have a series of sessions that is geared about embracing the gift that is your child, using the power of play. We have a speech therapist who's going to be taking us through how can we use games and activities and books to help build our children expressive communication, because speech is not just the spoken word, but there are other ways that you can teach your child how to communicate. So, and there are things you can do as part of your everyday life. And so we're going to be covering that on Wednesday. But tomorrow's session, we're focusing on reclaiming the family, reclaiming the conversation, powerful conversation for tomorrow. We're also going to be answering the question, where do you turn when it hurts your heart, break your back, and keep you up at night? We also have a sensory integration specialist who's going to talk to us about how to create for children with high sensory needs. What can we do at home now to help create those spaces with no money or on a budget. And we also have Dr. Amy Gooden, who's going to talk about for children like us who are multilingual, multicultural, and who are navigating these times right now, especially with online education and so on. So she's going to be talking about how, as families, we can elevate our voice and find our power. That's really what the summit is about, helping us to understand that we have more power than we know, helping us to understand that our voices matter, helping us to understand that what we go through, it won't kill us, but it will absolutely define us in terms of who we choose to be, and that we can rise to the occasion. I will send the other questions to Leslie Ann, and I heard I had frozen for a while. I'm going to send the other questions to Leslie Ann and to ask that she respond. And so if you really want to follow up with a question, just send us an email at raisingspecialneeds@gmail.com, and we'd be very happy to forward your question to the presenter and ask them to respond. I understand as well that in the live stream, several participants were sharing their own recipes from Chef Patrice's presentation. So we would love to see that. We're going to ask that you go to our Facebook page at Raising Special Needs, and that you share your recipes, share your comments, share your art therapy activity. Just share them or email them to us, and I'll email them to Leslie. And if you kind of want her to take a look at it, and so it has been a great evening. We're rounding the 8 o'clock hour. I'm gonna ask Elaine if you wanna just kind of jump in. Dr. Karen says, excellent day one, congrats. Somebody says the song that you're playing, Leslie, the song was I'm a Light by India Ari. So somebody was sharing that in the group chat. And it's going to be a while for me because the messages are coming from many different ways. So I will send them to you. Elaine, mic, please.
Okay, here I go. So that's it then. This has been an absolutely phenomenal, just special, just powerful, just touching, just an extraordinary experience. I'm really inspired and blessed to have been a part of the process. I'm really happy for everyone. I'm just intrigued by Patrice, her methodology for coming up with the menus, that how she went about the preparation, And as you say, seeing is believing, seeing is getting an insight into, well, what else could I do? I don't have to use those same things. Art therapy, it was intriguing for me to hear many of our special needs families saying, it's new. And so it's opening up doors, expanding the horizons, beginning to access what's available that we didn't know was there for our own benefit. And I'm just really touched, moved, and inspired. Karine's conversation about people and relating to the people that you serve and expanding your service to care, that goes into the human need and not just the actual dressing up and looking good, but touching the soul. So I'm really happy that we were all able to gather today to do this. And I continue to be inspired by you, Christine, and your purposefulness and your care and your willingness to donate. And I think we'd like to hear from you before the next 4 sessions are finished. What is it that we need to do for you? Because just as you've said, just as our art therapist has said, you know, you give so much, you donate so much, you create so much, you think about everybody all the time. How can I do more, be more, share more, so that we can all be better human beings in the service of humanity? So God bless you and God bless us all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night. So tomorrow we're going to be, or good evening. Tomorrow we're going to have another batch of parents who will be sitting in. So we ask those on the stream, just watch your email if you're not registered. You know, they say in lottery, if you don't
have a ticket, you don't have a chance.
And so we're going to share the recipes by email, and we're also just look out in your email to see if you're one of the lucky ones to win a golden ticket for tomorrow. It has been my pleasure to be here with you this evening, and I too am touched, moved, and inspired by all that has been shared. And Leslie, I think I need a session or two with my family. So I'm going to be giving you a call, and I think we can work on communication. So, but thank you all so much, and go enjoy your honeymoon all over again. And please tell hubby we say thank you so much for allowing you this time to be here with us. And Karen, my sister, you know we're going to talk later anyway, because she checks upon me. She says, who checks upon the strong women? And so she checks upon me. And so Beverly, Patrice, and Gia, and Dr. Karen. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys so much. And Elaine, guys, thank you for being my journey companion. Really appreciate you all. Thank you everybody for checking in. Now tell everybody. So tomorrow we must have more people on the stream. And remember that because it is live stream, you can go back and watch the session, but it won't be up forever. So you need to make use of what has been shared. All right. So
thank you so much.
And thank you, the volunteers who have been amazing. I'll call out all your names. Thank you for those who are in the stream managing everything, and for everybody else who have lent your support. Thank you so much. You're amazing. Well done. 1 day down, 3 to go.
Yep. Congrats.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.